Psst, listen up. I got a secret weapon that'll make your family happy. Real happy. My new fiery Italian pizza. A bold pie topped with savory sausage, cup and char pepperoni, sliced hot cherry peppers, and mozzarella cheese. This pie's got a complex blend of flavor and a little bit of heat. Available for a limited time, so don't miss out. Order today. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Storms, fires, power grid failures, supply chains stretched thin. There's never been a better time to get prepared. And right now, My Patriot Supply is offering something they've never done before. For a limited time, when you order their 3-month emergency food supply, you'll receive the Mega Kit for the same price. That's over $360 worth of real beef, chicken, fruits, and vegetables, included absolutely free. And this kit isn't just about surviving. It's built to keep you strong, delivering 2,500 calories a day. That's 1,000 calories more per day than other emergency kits on the market. Whether it's a long-term outage, a short-term crisis, or just a little peace of mind, this food is ready when you need it. It stays fresh for up to 25 years and ships fast and discreetly from MyPatriotSupply.com. This is an unprecedented offer, and it won't come around twice. Take control of your family's future while you still can. Visit MyPatriotSupply.com now. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, America's leader in emergency preparedness.
High schoolers, unleash your creativity and learn about potential careers in broadcasting at the Digital Expressions Media Workshop. Make friends, have fun, and get hands-on experience with video and radio production June.
So, the morning after the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, after the winner has all of the post, Butler Cabin.
Yeah.
He does the on-course on the 18th green. They give him the jacket. They give him the trophy. They give him the $4.2 million
They do all the
check.
traditions.
Yeah. They, you probably get after a little bit. I mean, we've had different types of winners.
Yeah.
Some that would probably bang it a little bit harder than others.
I would say so.
I'm wondering if today, this would be the appropriate picture for Rory McIlroy after all of the ups and downs that he has had in his career, that we get a famous picture of Rory
hammered.
McIlroy. Not hammered. I think he's probably moved past that.
I don't know.
But do we get, like a Mickelson went through, a drive-through? Might have gone to, somebody went to.
Did somebody get a 50-piece nuggets or?
Yeah. Somebody went to Waffle House in the green jacket. Like McIlroy today, waking up before he leaves, because I think he's going to go back home to Ireland to hang out with his parents and just kind of.
Sure.
Does he walk into the Walmart there in Augusta and they see him checking out with a case of Guinness, something like that?
He's walking out of a Publix with. Is Publix in Georgia?
Yes.
Is Publix a South thing?
Publix is. Yes, Publix is a South thing.
Walking out of the Publix with a salad. Everybody's walking out of Publix with salads, by the way. I've been to plenty.
I did not know this.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, every time I've been to plenty of Publix because I have plenty of family. Jeez. I have plenty of family in Florida, and I go out there.
Plenty of people do not walk out of Publix.
I feel like
with
Publix
salads.
is a place where
salads?
a lot of
you
people
were just
get
teaching
salads.
me about the pub
Maybe
sub.
just walking out of Publix with a salad. He's walking out with a bunch of Tullamore Dew, Irish whiskey. How about that? Or maybe he's a Bushmills
What
guy.
are we doing to start the week?
You think
They're
he's
just throwing stuff out there.
You think he's a Bushmills guy?
No, back to the salad thing.
Didn't COVID kill the salad bar?
I spent a lot of money in my lifetime at Publix to shop and to get the pub subs. People don't go into Publix and walk out with salads.
And the 5 times
you
I've
gotta
been
understand.
to a Publix.
When the Masters buy a
walking
salad
around
at 7
with
a.m.
salads.
No,
They
you
like to
gotta
buy
under-
salads
you
at
got-
Publix.
Yeah, if Publix was, instead of the main grocery store like Vons in Southern California, yeah, they'd walk out with salad.
Yeah.
People in Florida are fat, man. They don't walk out with salads out
They're
of
walking
Publix.
out with Gator and fried chicken. And what are they walking out with in Publix? What would you say?
You're an
they're walking
expert
out
on
with?
Publix. You just said I got
I'm
a
an
lot of
expert on
friends,
everything.
family in the
I
South.
got a lot of friends who are walking out. I'm just saying. A couple times I've been to a Publix, everybody's walking out with salad.
Oh, now we're back to a couple of times.
I said a couple of times. I didn't say that I'm an
I've also been
expert.
to a Publix and
You're
I've
the
never
one who's
seen
pinning
anyone
it on
walk
me
out
about
with
that I'm
salad.
the expert.
I know I see people walking out of
I could
Publix
see-
with salads.
I could see Rory McIlroy pulling off the
Let's
Tom
ask
Brady
Brian
picture.
Edwards on Thursday. I mean, he lives near Publix. Do you see people bring salads out of Publix?
He was in Miami. He was in Florida.
Let's just say he has a full range.
Just this
South
weekend?
Florida,
He's
the
in
Panhandle.
Florida.
I know. Well, yes,
He lives in Florida.
I know. I was just saying that he was in Miami.
The Sunshine
I
State.
doubt that he.
He lives
I
in
doubt
Florida.
that he would.
I had no clue he lived in Florida. I assumed he lived in Vegas. I just assumed.
He even said Santa Rosa Beach.
Yeah,
Nice place.
He lives in the Destin area.
Oh, okay. Good for Brian. I don't know
Beauchamp's
Brian
great place to
personally.
watch someone die and get a great meal.
Brian just comes on the show and he gives me picks, and sometimes they're winners and sometimes they're not. His pick on Krylov, not a winner. Pick on Patty Pimblatt, that was a winner.
That was a winner.
Kick the crap out of him. a good one. It was a great weekend for sports. I told you on Friday exactly what I was going to do. I said I was going to sit down on my couch. I was going to rot. I was going to eat pimento cheese sandwiches and egg salads. And you know what? That's exactly what I did. I did not leave my seat, and I just watched sports all weekend, and I slept, and it was glorious. Glorious.
It was a glorious weekend. Were people entertained?
It was nice.
Like, were people fully entertained by what happened yesterday in Augusta? How were you not entertained?
Exactly.
Because if you were...
I was nervous.
Well,
I started pacing.
I think that's the emotion. Like, this was like a special day yesterday. You had an individual who has been chasing the career Grand Slam for a long time that I think is fairly popular. Most of the hate for him is online, but he was coming up during a time when Tiger was still dominating, so he was the foil to Tiger, and so you didn't embrace Rory. Plus, he was not an American.
No.
Right? He had this Irish accent, and he was trying to take away Tiger's thunder. He was winning majors here and there, and he was like, oh. And he also was kind of he was a knob. He wasn't afraid to say what was on his mind.
And he was good looking, and he was young, and it was easy to be jealous of him.
But then as time went along, you're like, oh, man, don't be Greg Norman. Because you would see the heartache that he would have when he was trying to complete the career Grand Slam. And as he has become more outspoken about the LIV Tour, and then he also has encountered some personal stuff.
Yeah.
He's also clashed with the media a bit, but extremely popular guy that when you get to that moment and how special that tournament is, and first of all, he was preordained that he was going to win this tournament. Remember on Thursday, it was like, this is Rory's tournament, this is his time. And then he rides the roller coaster in the last 6 holes on Thursday, and you're like, And then you could have gotten him at plus 330 on Friday night.
Yeah.
Got him there at 330 and then got him at minus 140 for the playoff. But he rides the roller coaster, and he gets to yesterday and all the buildup, and there was probably you're more thinking, man, this is going to end poorly, not greatly.
No.
Because this is what Rory does. And it may not be Bryson that beats him. It may be somebody else. Might be Scotty Scheffler that has a run or somebody from the back. But he lost that tournament 3 times. He won that tournament 4 times yesterday, all in the course of 18 holes and the playoff. And I don't know
45 minutes.
I don't know how you were not entertained.
Yesterday going into it was the narrative of like, all right, Rory's up 2. This is the moment. Can he close it out? Can he do what he never did before? Can he finally shut the door, right? And the narrative is that he hasn't been able to shut the door and do that. And what was great about yesterday is that the narrative was kind of true. I mean, he wasn't able to shut the door. He wasn't able to close it out. He wasn't able to win that tournament numerous times. And every time you thought that, all right, this is it. He's going to do it. He's going to run away with it. The door swung back open. And then on 18, when he had the opportunity to just win the tournament outright and he misses that putt, it's like, all right, like this is who you are. Like this is it. And like, how many times were you thinking during that round, like if he doesn't do it now, he'll never do it. He'll never do it. Like it was just in your mind. It's like, this is it. This is his shot. This is his opportunity. And he finally did it. But like, man, it was a true Rory McIlroy performance with the fact that
it was a Rory coaster.
Oh my God. That's a great line. 4 double bogeys. 4 double bogeys.
Yeah, it hasn't been done. Stadler was the last Masters champion to have more than one.
42 years ago, I think was the stat, or 40-something years ago was the last time someone did that. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, like, you go through, how many shots in the back are you thinking of right now that were absolutely incredible? The 7-iron on 15, the approach shot on the playoff. On Friday, he had that absolutely ridiculous shot out of the straw.
Well, his daughter had the putt on 9 on Wednesday.
Yes. I mean, it's just like...
It was preordained that he was going to win the Masters after Poppy banged it in at 9.
After he watched Zootopia with Poppy, I feel like it was preordained that he was going to.
It's a banger of a movie.
I mean, it is a great movie.
One shot you're leaving out is what he did on 7 yesterday. Now, I like that he said the double bogey on 1, which immediately started the Rory coaster. You're like, okay. But it probably turned out to be okay for him. But his shot on 7, the little gap he had with the trees to hit that shot. I mean, his irons were great. His putts were, but how could you not be entertained because you ran the full gamut of emotions? Mm-hmm. Did you cry? Did anybody cry
I teared
yesterday?
Up. I teared up. I'm a big Rory guy. You know, I'm a big Rory guy.
I did when the alarm went off, but that's because it was a good night.
Even when he won the Pebble Beach Pro-Am earlier in the year, I had that tweet. I go, I know that he's going to run me through a roller coaster of emotions this year, and that's exactly what he did. But he did it. It's like over. I just feel like it's over. I feel like I'm relieved. I feel like there's a weight off of my back, and I'm not even the one who won the Masters, right? Like, I feel like he's been chasing this for so long and chasing a major for so long, and I've been so captivated and gripped. I almost feel like a little bit like after the Cubs won the World Series, where it's like, what am I chasing anymore now as a fan? Like, we did it. Like, I'm so damn happy that it happened. Now with Rory, I'm kind of the same way, where it's like, what are we chasing? But like for now,
PCA last night.
But dude, he looks great. Looks great. Trade
11-7 with the toughest schedule in baseball.
And they've played Dodgers 6 times or 5 times. 11-7, baby. We're gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna make the playoffs. I'm calling it now. But yeah, it was great weekend of sports.
I've got a take on everything, boy.
What do you mean? I'm not a take on everything, boy.
We already said at the beginning of the year they were going to make the playoffs.
I know they are, but they look like a little 18 games in. I'm very happy with what I've seen. Like, there's always a pessimism.
I think there were people probably cried yesterday.
I teared up.
I think the tears of joy, the raw, authentic emotion that he showed, where there were moments yesterday, whether you're a golfer or not, I think you could relate to Rory, like going through it. And then you could relate to, I got 50 friends that probably would hit that putt. And then there are 50 friends that think they could be a professional athlete, and there is no chance in hell they could be a professional athlete for what you go through and able to preserve it. The thing about Rory winning, and now he is one of six of the career Grand Slam. And I don't know, like when you talk about the greatest golfers of all time, he doesn't immediately come to mind.
No,
but you can never take that away from him.
But he's darn good.
But now is the Rory story over? Because is Rory a better story when he's chasing than he is already achieving it?
I think it's over. Like, I love him, and I'm always going to root for him, and I always want him to win. But like, it got completed yesterday, and especially like dating back to 2011, where he's got the 4-shot lead, and this young kid bursts onto the scene. You think he's going to do it right away. Holy crap! And then he falls apart, and he loses that. And ever since then, it's like you've been chasing that moment, chasing that opportunity, and he finally got it. And it's even been the buildup since then, winning the 3 other majors, then last year falling short. Because I think the narrative of like Rory not being able to close the door was around, like that was like kind of whispering a bit, and then St. Andrews happened 3 years ago, and you're like, all right, this might be a thing. And then last year happened, and you're like, holy crap, this really is a thing. Like, he does have, the skits a bit. And then yesterday you were watching it, and you're like, holy crap, this is like, he can't do it. But now that he did it, it's done to me. I mean, like, always going to root for him, always want him to win. Heck, if he wins another Masters, wins another major, I'm going to be cheering for it. But like, he completed his story.
I think the story about Rory has always been, he's the guy that's really, really good, but he's always chasing, and there's going to be heartbreak regardless of what happens. And yesterday was like the perfect Rory moment of, he had won the tournament, then he lost the tournament, and you're like, oh no, this is great. And because sometimes you root for the stories, like Jim Nantz. I mean, Jim Nantz teared up in the cabin. I mean, he was rooting for Rory to win.
He was
after last Monday. He needed a win.
Well, that's the thing with golf is there's not enough Johnny Millers. There's a lot more golfers that root for players, and so they want shots to go in. And Rory is different, and this is across a lot of sports where there's that sentimental figure, which is for the most part a good person. They haven't caused any harm. They do the right thing, but they're chasing that one thing that eludes them to complete their career. And I think if you spend a lot of time around that particular person, you get attached to their story. And you know their story, and you know about some of the demons that they're fighting with that hangs over them. And Rory has never run away from it. And yesterday, the whole up and down, it was the perfect Rory Sunday at Augusta to win. Like, to win because it was not smooth. You thought that he was going to run away with it. They got to the back 9, and I'm thinking, CBS is screwed because they have this opportunity where they started the day with Bryson and Rory and immediately a double bogey by Rory, and people are tuned in. And then as Bryson goes for a swim and does some Bryson things, and Rory's playing really well, especially hits the shot on 7, and you're like, oh my God. And he doesn't go into the water when Bryson goes into the drink, and all of a sudden he's starting to run away with it. And I'm like, CBS is going to be in trouble here because what are they going to do for the last 7-8 holes?
Sure.
Because it'll be a coronation of Rory. It will not be tight. And then Rory reminds you of what he does at Augusta, and he lets the field come back to him. But then in the end, he lets Justin Rose hang around, who shot 66 yesterday. I mean, you shot 66 on the final day of Augusta. You take out 2 bad days, Justin Rose probably wins Augusta relatively comfortably.
Oh, sure.
But it was so, like, if you're going to win, if Rory is going to do it, and he's going to do it in Augusta, that's the perfect day yesterday to do it. Again, you won it 4 times, you lost it 3 times, all in the course of the round that you were playing. And then in the playoff, think about how small the margin is, and especially in that sport.
I know.
Look at Rose's shot, his second shot on 18. If it does not take that one extra bounce, they essentially have the same putt, and Rose is closer. And can you imagine? Imagine the pressure of what Rory is walking up to that. So it was a fantastic day. I don't know how you were not entertained. And if you wanted to cry, that was perfect because that's what sports is. Like, it's the raw, authentic. Rory's not fake. Like, you see some guys that kind of cry and they're fake, and you go, I'm not buying it. I bought everything about his celebration when he went to his knees and he cried and all of that kind of stuff. So good on him. Sports had a good day yesterday.
I think Rory's 4 rounds, you can make the argument that it kind of encapsulated his entire career. Those each individual round, right? He has that incredible start, 4 under, and then he hits the last part of the first round, has those 2 double bogeys, goes back to even. That's kind of like 2011 in the Masters, where it's like, holy crap, what a great start. Then he hits back. Then those kind of 2 rounds, right, in the middle are like kind of his middle career, where it's like, you have a lot of success there, and you're playing really well, and you're on top of the world, and like you don't know if you're there, and then you kind of fall off a bit. And then this last round, this 4th round, has encapsulated the entirety of the last 3 years of his career, where it's like he's there, then he's not. He's there, then he's not. You said it perfectly. If Rory was going to win it, Rory did it exactly how, like that was Rory. Mm-hmm. That was Rory as a golfer in that final round, just the highs and the lows. And you like CBS Sports is freaking out about, oh my God, this might be a runaway. Rory says, no, I'll be me. Hold my beer. I don't know how to do it any other way than make this the most painstaking thing to watch as a fan of his. I was in a glass case of emotions, just absolutely like living and dying, standing up and sitting down the entire time.
Finally. He finally got it. Did you cry, Jimmy? You're not a big golf person, but you like figures in sports.
But I was all in yesterday, and the most I told Matt this right before you walked in. My daughter, you've met her, the puppy. She loves golf. Could not turn away. So it got her to, she was in her perch in the bed, and she was watching the entire
loves golf.
Last round. Yeah, loves golf.
Would you say how do you know if a dog loves golf? Is it just she was calm, or
she was watching the TV? She was enthralled by this.
Was she like rooting for somebody? Like every time Rose, like
I have to ask her. I don't know if she put any bets down or anything
while certain guys were putting.
No, she just kind of yawned. Occasionally, she licked herself.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you think that because Scotty is such a machine and he's so good and he doesn't really suffer a lot of defeats and he doesn't look like he doesn't look as vulnerable, that he's less relatable than Rory? I think so. I think
less
because
relatable?
Like it's harder to connect with Scotty because Scotty doesn't show that vulnerability. Scotty doesn't go through the ups and downs that Rory does because Rory shows that vulnerability. Because Rory goes through those ups and downs, it's easier to relate to Rory. I think so.
I think if Scheffler had the same path that Rory had, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Who has that path? What particular golfer? Now, if it is, I don't know, John Rahm is still, even though he's on the live, is popular. Like Bryson may be a little bit different, but I think to win it on the back end, where if you were playing, if Rory was chasing, let's say, the U.S. Open,
yeah,
I think the crowd reaction to him is different. Like that's probably more of a Bryson crowd, but at Augusta they're more of a Rory crowd.
Sure.
And so I think when anybody has a career arc like that, and you go through the ups and downs, like, would Greg Norman be more popular if Greg Norman had not had familiar meltdowns.
Yeah.
Like
That's
he had
what I
not
thought
been
of
known as a
yesterday.
choke artist. That's why I keep going back to
That's a good
it's
point.
great for Rory
I always think
because
of
I'm
96.
glad he got there. And Rory has been good. I mean, and Rory has been really good of late, is that he finally got it there. But the story was Rory is chasing. He's a choke artist. Like it would have fed into the narrative yesterday if he would have blown that.
I
And
mean,
Justin
it already
Rose was
did
getting the
feed
green
into the
jacket.
narrative.
But now he's got it. And he said it, and he knows this. He jokingly said in the press conference, he goes, "So what are we going to talk about next year?"
Yeah.
So it's the story of Rory is he's always chasing, but now he got it. Now we move on to who is the next person to chase. But he finally got it, and I was glad to see he had the raw emotion, and he's got his name etched with some of the greatest of all time. It shows you how difficult that is to do. What, 2 golfers in the last 50 years have done it?
Yeah.
Or there are 2 golfers in the last 25 with Tiger did it.
More people have landed on the moon than won the career Grand Slam. I think it's either Brooks or Bryson in terms of like the next guys that you're really cheering for to root for the Masters. Or it's like, I don't know, maybe Rory again. I mean, but I don't know. It's great and it's awesome. And I love Rory and I'm so happy that it happened. But because I'm a casual golf fan, I'm not like a massive golf fan. And as someone who is like mainly a fan of Rory, I feel like, all right, what else now am I looking forward to a bit in golf? Like, what am I really cheering for?
The return of Tiger.
Yes.
Are we really going to keep playing the song and dance
forever?
Are we really going to keep doing it?
Thursday and Friday, no Tiger. What were the TV ratings like? Now the TV ratings from yesterday are going to be gigantic, but Thursday, Friday.
I don't want to see.
There was
Tiger
no
golf
Tiger.
I don't want to see Tiger golf.
No Tiger.
All right, I'm cool.
The next thing about golf. See, this is what golf has become. Is you pay attention to the majors. You pay attention to individuals because we will go back to LIV and PGA get separated, and we'll go about our business, and then we'll reconvene next month at the PGA. And then we'll go about our business, and then Father's Day weekend will come around, and we'll get together for the U.S. Open, and then we'll go about our business, and then in July, we'll be watching morning golf from the Open, and then we'll go about our business, and this is
time for football.
It's a Ryder Cup year, right?
Yes.
Yes. So then we'll get all excited for that. But golf won yesterday, but it's not like golf is going to get a bump. I don't know. I don't know if Rory if that bump yesterday, in terms of growing the game of people going to the course today, if that has any impact.
I don't think it gets a bump at all. I don't think it gets any sort of bump. I think that this was like a 10-year renaissance that came to an end yesterday. And I honestly think, if anything, there are going to be people less motivated, if I'm being frank with you.
Less motivated?
No, I mean, just like not less motivated,
to give
but
up the sport.
I'm
not give up the
sad now.
sport.
Rory can do it. I can't.
Not give up a sport, but also like I am like, there are a lot of fans like me who are like Rory, right? And I'm dialed into majors, watching Rory and following Rory and trying to see him win. And now that he's won the Masters, I'm still going to be that way. But the passion won't be the same. Like it won't be like the fire that I had yesterday won't be similar.
But you move on to the next one.
Well,
like you were
hope,
just bringing up like Bryson or Brooks.
See, that's what I'm hoping. I hope those guys play well the rest of the major seasons, where it's like you are back into investing in them and rooting for them. But they have to be there. But I do think too, like.
But I'm talking about like growing the game. Like for the TV,
I don't think
the TV ratings will be what they are. But in terms of like growing the sport,
I don't think it. I think you need another.
It reminded me why I love the Masters. Why is hands down my favorite major.
I got to imagine there are more people that really are not golfers. I mean, if you are a fan of sports and why sports is so great, yesterday was perfect for you. It gave you everything you wanted on why you have a passion and a love for sports. But it's probably the only major where the cash and not even cash will watch because it's an event and it's the same course every year. Everything looks the same.
Graphics,
and so you'll watch
music,
it. I mean, we like comfortability in our sports. And so we're kind of attracted to that. And so that's why the just normal sports fan is attracted to storylines at Augusta.
The Masters seems the same as when we were younger, and that's what's great about it. Yet it evolves, and it's still.
I mean, it's one of the rare events that are on that stage in this country that we watch
we can
on the regular. it's the same.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't move to a new venue.
Mhm.
They don't do anything different. It's
New music.
You know what you're getting. So for 4 days in April in northern Georgia,
Mhm.
you get, what
Yeah.
what you expect.
You get a bunch of rich old guys in green coats putting on the greatest golf tournament ever with a bunch of weird rules that everybody has to follow, and we just nod our head, say okay, and watch golf for
So
4
now
days.
we need a poor people's
Now,
Masters.
Now,
I can't stop laughing at the Masters training facility, by the way, every time it got brought up. Like, just call it a driving range. Like, get over yourself. Like, I love the Masters, don't get me wrong. There's some of this stuff, though, where I'm like, I just roll my eyes at it.
Did Nance make a mistake a couple of times yesterday and call it a coat?
Oh, no.
The green coat?
No. Did he? I didn't hear it.
Oh,
He was
did.
getting-
That
Like
can't
Spieth
be.
has done. I don't think they'll allow Spieth back because he talked about mud balls. And then the other thing that I don't know if anybody caught. So
Yeah.
when they go to the cabin and they give out the green jacket and the emotion, and you can tell that Nance, we're going to talk about old Jim's weekend at Augusta, but
He had quite the week.
he's attached to Rory because he hangs out with these guys and he knows the story.
Yeah.
And so he started to tear up. And then, of course, he went all Rinaldi and Barbara Walters and got Rory to tear up. But did you notice something that was, for the first time I can recall, that was not in the cabin on
the
presentation?
amateur.
Yeah.
I wondered about
And you know
that.
why?
Why?
Because that's the dude that peed in Ray's Creek.
No, they
Oh.
told
So-
Ballester to screw off.
So
He got a
I'm
penalty.
wondering if, because he pulled that off, if they were like, no, you are not coming into the cabin to be part of the ceremony that Rory just won the green jacket.
That is that's a hunk of, you know what? in
Well,
my
where
opinion.
was he?
Petty. And
Where
No,
was
no,
he?
no. He wasn't there, and I did notice that. But it's a hunk of you know what if they took that away from him because he took a pee in the creek. Okay, the guy had to go to the bathroom.
Then why
when
wasn't
you
he
got
there?
it? No, it probably was exactly
Should've worn
that,
a diaper.
which is why it's a hunk of crap. It is a hunk of crap. It's
Actually,
a hunk
it's
of
a hunk
pee,
of
if you ask
pee.
me.
But
I
they
beat
got
you to
but
it.
See,
I
they,
knew you were going
won.
to be
hey,
there.
they got you. They got you. They can tell you what you can and can't do, and
It
you'll be
is
like,
crazy, man.
all right,
You don't get to be on
just so
TV.
that I could
Like,
play at Augusta.
Some of these guys, like these amateurs, it's like their greatest accomplishment is to like be the low am and like be in Butler's cabin and like have that moment with the green jacket.
What if he
winner.
turned it down and he said, you know what, I'm only going in there if I get the
Then
green
he's
jacket.
an idiot.
No, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Don't
Now, what do
touch
you
the
mean
money.
I'm
You
not
don't
going
touch-
in
you
until
don't
I
touch-
deserve it.
You don't touch the cup.
Oh
I'm
my
only,
God,
I'm only
get
coming,
outta here.
I'm only coming into the cabin when I get the green jacket.
I knew a kid who he was at he was my age, he was 9 years old, and his dad owned a restaurant, and the Stanley Cup came into his dad's restaurant, and they wouldn't let the 9-year-old kid touch the Stanley Cup because they thought he was
Grubby
going to
hands?
win it. Not a joke.
Oh, well,
Not a joke. He was 9 years old. If the cup was right in front of him, they were like, hey, Danny, don't touch it. Don't touch it because you're going to win it one day. So
As an
stupid. The kid never even, the kid was
was
terrible.
this after the Blackhawks won a Stanley Cup?
This
was
was
a tour?
2000. This is 2013. He was 11 years old. They brought the cup in, and they wouldn't let the kid touch it.
That they let him the
Right?
next
He
time?
didn't even end up playing club hockey in college.
But would it surprise you? Because the guy appears to be pretty cocky. Now, he's a pretty good golfer. and
I
he
think the
appears to have like a cock of the walk.
Do you
He's like,
think they'll
I'm
invite him
I'm
back?
not going in there until I get the jacket.
Do you think they'll invite him back then if they won't even let him? Like, okay,
Well,
on
they let him play, so I mean, they could have
But
said
they are-
they should have said, you got to hit the bricks, pal. But they let him play all weekend. So
I mean, he
it's
just
not like they
pissed
kicked
in
him
a
out.
creek. I mean, he just took a pee in a creek.
Yeah, but this isn't like
This
Elmwood,
isn't
this is like
Papio
Elmwood
Creek.
Park or Milts or anything like
Is
this.
there
This
a
is Augusta National. Whether I think it's funny or not.
is there a sign? He should be like, I don't see a sign that doesn't say I can't pee in the creek. Seriously, is there a sign that says please don't pee in this creek? Because if there isn't a sign, what's stopping him from doing
I've
it?
not been there. I've not seen one of
What
those
is so
signs.
special about Ray's Creek anyway? I'm kidding. That was sarcastic. That was tongue in cheek. Had to pull back there. You got real mad at me for a second. You were like, I can't believe you just said that.
It's the your generation that just tinkles all over all of the
Literally,
special things in sports.
Figuratively.
I'm surprised you didn't come in here today and go, friggin' Rory, suck it up, Buttercup. No tears, baby. No tears.
That's your generation. That's your.
My generation was crying with Rory.
I was tearing up. I told you I was tearing up. They're welling up in my eyes a little bit. I mean,
All
and
right.
also too, I get to cash out my bet, baby. Bang bang.
And there it is.
Hey, no, I got
Good
Rory
job.
at plus 330 on Friday night after it was like,
I should have listened.
Plus 650, baby.
Damn. All right, coming up on the show, the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Wait.
Evan Bland from the World Herald will join us. We do have, we say goodbye to a guest. He'll never be back on 1620. That's his choice. Jacob Bigelow, who usually comes on Mondays, has elected not to join us. So his time on 1620 as a guest, which is unfortunate because I think we get some good stuff out of Jacob. That is a choice that he has made. We reached out to him to have him back on after the meltdown and the deactivation of our Twitter account and then our reactivation.
And then being very active on Twitter. Incredibly active yesterday.
So we offered to have Jacob on. He declined, and so we'll move on from Jacob, and so we'll 1620, and we're good for both.
Yep, no.
That's the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. It was a busy weekend of sports, not just what happened at Augusta, but there was a lot surrounding that. Very active weekend for college football. Matt Rule had a thing or two to say.
Doesn't he always?
He does. He said something. I rolled my eyes, and then he said something. I went, We'll get into that as we roll till 10. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, thanks to Pete, also Judd. This just ruins what would be a good story. There was no amateur that made the cut.
Oh.
So Justin Hastings was 4 over, so nobody made it to the weekend, so that's why nobody was in the cabin. Dang it. This would have been a great story.
It would have been incredible. You and I cultivated something that would have rocked the golfing world if they didn't let Ballastar get into the Butler
Were they talking
cabin.
about him on early Saturday? Early Saturday coverage? Maybe that's why I thought that he was still playing. Now, he finished 10 over.
He got a lot of run on Friday. So on Friday, the camera was on him a lot. The camera was on him more than Bryson DeChambeau on Friday.
Ooh, how about that, by the way? There were allegations that because he was a liver, they were avoiding Bryson.
He was in a weird tee time. So he didn't go early enough to be a part of like the featured groups on ESPN, but then he didn't go like late enough to be a part of like the top groups on the CBS. So I think he kind of just got lost in the shuffle. But I mean, it's really like, how many shots did you see of Shane Lowry yesterday? Like, would you have known that Shane Lowry shot an 81 if you didn't go back and look through the scores? Like they didn't show. And that guy started the day top 5. And you saw nothing of him, right? I mean, he finished +4 on the day and like ended up like losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet he didn't pop up. You didn't see Morikawa yesterday either. I mean, because he was kind of in the middle of the pack. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like they love to show the pre-shot stuff and then picking the club and then wiping the club off and like the hot mic between the caddy and the golfer, that like they sacrifice a lot of shots that are going on in the tournament unless they're like really, really good.
Yeah, like there was a point where who was it that not Patrick Reed, because Reed made a run. There was another golfer who they snuck in there that was even, and I'm like, okay, this has to be a great shot.
Yes,
because they aren't showing.
It was was it Hovland? Wasn't it Hovland like almost made it? Hovland almost made it in or something.
I think so. And because I thought they did a really good job of following Rory. Like Rory, the emotions of Rory, from the great shot making to the poor shot making to poor decisions, I think they followed that and did it really well. But you know, the thing, like when Tiger was at the height of his game, they would just follow Tiger and people would get upset. I thought they handled it pretty well because the pack kind of separated a little bit. They kept their focus on the top 3 groups. If somebody hit a good shot, they would bring it up, or somebody that also had a run. How about the story that Bryson asked afterwards about his interaction with Rory? Said Rory didn't talk to him. And I'm like, that is perfect. That is because Tiger wouldn't talk to whoever he was playing with.
Do you know that Finau story? Tony was walking on the 5th it was the 5th hole, Sunday in the Masters 2019. Tony goes up to Tiger and go, "Hey, how are the kids? How's Charlie? How's everything doing?" Tiger looks at him and goes, "They're good." Keeps walking. And Tony goes, he goes, then and there I knew we probably weren't going to talk that much. Why would you talk? This isn't like a friendly, like I get talking on Thursday and Friday. I get it. Like you're out there, you're jockeying for position, but at the same time, it's beautiful. You're in Augusta, you're playing at the Masters. It's Sunday, man. I'm trying to win a green jacket. I don't give a damn.
If you're like Bryson, you'd go, "Hey, what's in that canteen? What you're drinking a lot there. It seems as much as you're drinking, that's always full. What's in there?" Now, of course, Rory has his opinion about guys that are on the Live Tour, so I imagine his relationship with Bryson isn't great, so they're not going to be chumming up, especially when you're trying to chase the green jacket. Like Bryson could have screwed with Rory the whole day, like trying to talk to him and bringing stuff up and getting in his head. At least Bryson was like, okay, I see how we're going to be today. I'm not saying anything.
Don't you think that Bryson playing bad might have like rubbed off on Rory a bit?
I think so. I think you're absolutely right.
I think that happens
because he took a lot of time.
Yes.
And then how about when they get to 18 at the end and they're so backed up that Rory stands there on 18 for the longest time? I'm telling you, if you've ever sat at home on your couch and said, "Man, I could be a professional athlete," no. Men and women that are professional athletes and near the top of their sport are built differently.
I mean, it's insane.
It's the physical and the mental part. And I would say 95% of us on earth could not handle that. Could not. We would have been a puddle.
Try 99%.
We would have been a puddle yesterday if we were Rory.
I'm a puddle when I got $20 on the line at Mahoney Golf Course. I mean, like to be in that situation, to be in that moment, to about to win the Super Bowl, basically of your sport, and you're sitting there and you're with this big, supplemented it up dude who's taking a bunch of money that you don't like and that like you have a lot of moral ambiguity towards, and you're sitting there and you're trying to win, and then now like you're backed up on 18, you're just looking at your destiny right in front of you as it's staring back, knowing that you've been here 17 times before and you haven't been able to do it. And then, by the way, the course won. I mean, the course won. I mean, he went up into the 18th and he tried punting and he missed.
Yeah, is Rory going to beat Rory?
I think his best shot of the entire tournament, and you might completely disagree with me, his best shot was his drive in the playoff. I think by far. And the reason why is because he had just missed the putt on the 18 to win the Masters, and he missed it. And Justin Rose was out in their training facility or whatever the hell they want to call it, hitting balls, getting ready, licking his chops, trying to have that moment. And he went up and he striped one down the middle. And the fact that Rory stepped up.
But Rory's a good driver, though.
But the fact, well, look, to begin the round, he puts one right in the bunker on one and talked about how nervous he was, right? The fact that after he had that opportunity to win the tournament and he stepped up to that tee after Rose piped one down the middle and responded with an equally to good shot and then stuck it on the green, it was so impressive, that drive. So impressive.
It was.
But now we got nothing to root for. I got nothing to look forward to.
I wonder how many of the patrons on 18 sprinted over to 10, thinking that there's going to be at least 2 holes of the playoff, just so they could get a spot. And then every time I see 18, I'm thinking in my head, us just normal hackers on the weekend.
Yeah.
How many people we would drill if we were teeing off on the 18 with as narrow as it is with the people sitting there.
Didn't one YouTuber do that? Didn't that happen like 2 years ago where like a YouTuber just teed off into one of those crowds like that and hit a dude right in the ankle or something?
At 18 at Augusta?
Like at a tour event. Like they had like a YouTube tour event and they had people line up and he smacked somebody. I think it was like Grant Horvath or something like that. One of those famous like YouTube golfers that Bryson practiced with all the time. Seriously. I think he's one of the like Bryson's homies. And he just hit it.
He just jumped out grabbed the club and teed off.
No, he teed off and they had the gallery like to the left and the right of them, like they typically do for the tour or for the majors, and he just shanked one right into the crowd and he hit it, dude. It was crazy. It was like he was like, this is my biggest fear, and it happened.
Plus, we also set a record on Sunday with the most surrender cobras on one hole in the history of golf. If you look at the background and the great shots that CBS had, by the way, that photo for SI, that's going to be a banger on the cover of your SI. That'll be in your mailbox on Thursday. But the surrender cobras on 18, the all-time record. They eclipsed the Michigan State
I think it might,
blocked punt.
I think it might, like worldwide, the surrender cobras was probably an all-timer. I was surrender cobraing the entire time in my living room.
Here is Andrew to kick off the morning. Good morning, Andrew.
Hello, boys. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Every day is fabulous, man. Every day.
Every day is a game day.
Yes.
Hi, Andrew.
What? Hey, how you doing, Matthew?
Good. I'm doing
good. How come there's not? You were talking about smack talking. I understand you don't talk during a guy's swing, but why not throw a little smack out there? You're walking up,
What would you say, Andrew? Andrew, what would your go-to line be to smack talk people on the golf course?
After, he shanked it or be like, oh, that was a great shot, Roy.
Or he puts it into the woods and you go, hey, it opens up over there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you could say that I think would get under a guy's skin. And it's sad that weapon is not used in the PGA.
I think that's because it's a sport of respect. You would have to also have a great relationship to subtly say that to each other while you're playing, because you're playing for a paycheck. Like if you're just playing,
you're paying for your livelihood.
If you're just I'm sure on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you're probably doing that stuff because you're also gambling.
Sure.
But I think once you start playing for the paycheck, I think you stop that unless you know the person really well and you just subtly walk by and go, nice shot.
Yeah, I would.
Or they Robin Hood it, and you're gonna go. You're gonna love that one.
Andrew, are you a golfer? Andrew, you play a little golf?
Yeah, Drew.
I play a little golf. I don't
Ooh.
play it tremendous. I'm average. I mean, I have some great shots, and then I have some bad shots.
So you're like Rory.
But I mean, once I had kids, my golf game did take a hit.
Hey,
anyway.
No, that's real, man. If you want to be really, really good at golf, don't get married, don't have kids. Look at how it's impacted. Yeah. All of a sudden, Tiger got into a relationship, started having kids. Tiger's career went down.
No joke. If you have kids and you like golfing, just stop.
Well, I already suck at golf, and I'm very single, so I think I'm screwed.
Plus, it's expensive because once you bring the wife and the kids into it, all of a sudden, you can't just have the golf-only membership at the field club. You got to get sure and make sure they get the pool and all that kind of stuff. Yes.
Jerry, it's just money. You can't take it with you.
That's true.
You can't. You got to spend it. But anyway,
that's true.
My point is, did you see Creighton is cleaning up?
Yes,
in
they
the
are.
Portal.
And hey,
they are. I'm telling you, they are spending some money, Matthew.
Why did I get directed there? Why was that a shot at me? Of course, they should be spending money. You guys don't have football to worry about.
Doesn't spend money.
Because you don't have football to worry about, Andrew. I'm not doing the song and dance today. I'm not going. This isn't Holyfield Tyson. We're not going 12.
Creighton did have football at one time.
Yeah, back in the day. This is a hell of a way to go out for Mac's final year is to load up that roster. Schwartz from Miami was a nice depth piece yesterday with 3 years of eligibility.
They're paying a lot of money. I'm kind of wondering where the money's coming from.
Well, they've loaded up. I mean, I don't think you have any money worries at Creighton when it comes to men's basketball. And if this is it for Mac, I mean, you're going to give him the best opportunity to go win a national championship.
Yeah, hopefully it happens in my time, but I don't know.
We'll see.
But no, we should, Gary. I should take you out on the course, and we should.
You know what?
Some 20s.
I'll play with you, or I'll take you to a place that I like to play.
And I would like to.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah, Matt, you're in. We'll take him.
Cool, great, thanks.
It was nice to see Art called the other day.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I'm glad that he's doing well.
Yes, Art is quite a legend.
Yeah, he is. And sometimes in his own mind, but we never tell him that.
No. All right,
Andrew. Thank you very much. Talk about losing money, and he's right. You mean you can't take money with you? But what did Rory get? 4.2.
Yeah. No, I love that little engine I have in the CBS Sports app where it tells you exactly who got paid, what amount, and what putts meant a lot in terms of like making them at the very end. Like how much money did that putt cost? Like to make or miss it.
Mr. Oberg. So his little trouble there on 18, cost him $514,000.
You want to? My favorite one is this one. I was talking about Shane Lowry. To start the day, he would have made $798,000. He ended the day making $76,000. Oof.
I feel terrible. I just feel awful. That's.
I mean, 76,000. That's probably what the Airbnb cost in Augusta. They're not cheap, man.
I think he's doing well for himself.
Probably. He's like the number 5 golfer.
How come they don't give
out
big checks anymore? You get the trophy at Augusta and they give you the big check.
You're talking about, you want a big gaudy check at Augusta? Are you kidding me? That is like the opposite of what that place stands for. If anything, they would like give it to you like in briefcases, I feel like.
We don't do the big checks anymore. Big checks are big checks. We should give out big checks. When somebody wins something, you should get out a big check. Like my family won the Iowa lottery when I was younger, and we won like, I don't know, it was like $1,200 or something. We took pictures at the Iowa lottery office on Ingersoll in Des Moines, and they gave us a big check.
Do you still have the big check?
I'm sure it's somewhere.
Okay.
Some in a garage somewhere. But yeah, they gave us the big check. It was awesome.
I would buy that at a garage sale. Like if someone was selling like a big check at a garage sale, I would pick that up.
All right, hour number 2 coming up. Because I'm leaving on a jet plane. If only the Tennessee quarterback had that easy of a last name. We'll get into what happened in Knoxville and the impact on college football. Also, the college football local. And Iowa JD would like us to discuss something that happened between Iowa and Nebraska this weekend. All of that to come as we roll till 10. That'll include a stop by Evan Bland on 1620 The Zone.
beautiful day today.
Hey, what is the weather like? This is, by the way, it's Holy Week.
Yes.
There's WrestleMania week.
Yes.
The ultimate Fish Friday.
That's what I thought you were referring to. WrestleMania. When you said Holy Week, I was like, oh, it's WrestleMania. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
Tom Brady might ruin WrestleMania. He's going to make an appearance in Vegas.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's teasing it. You know how I know it's WrestleMania week in this country?
How do you know it's WrestleMania week?
I was at Walmart. You know what? You know what?
The chairs are out.
The chairs are out, and they're only $10.99.
I was like high school all over again.
When WrestleMania week, Walmart brings those folding chairs. They put them closer to the entrance. Not mark down the price from $15 to $10.99.
They know.
Mm-hmm.
Some could say graduation parties. No,
I'll be in uniform on Friday. Be in uniform.
Singlet?
I might come in something. I got something a little planned. I mean, it's a big day, man.
You're gonna dress as a wrestler?
I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. We'll see. I got something planned though. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear
dress as Rikishi.
Well, I don't want to just be naked.
I mean, it gets warm in this studio, but
no, I'll come as Randy Orton. Just tights. Just that's it. Tights and leather boots. I'll have to get a full Brazilian if I do that. Get a tan too.
Save that for the next one.
What if I just showed up, just super tanned up, and like I walked into the studio? Now you know how they wet their hair.
I do that.
Like
every
I
day
come
in the
in
summer.
like just super tan, and my hair is soaking wet. Matt, why are you just like it's WrestleMania week? Come on, guys.
With me, it's you stepped outside. Why? Yes, I did.
Multiple
Now I'm
people.
glowing.
I have multiple people who want me to make a trek out somewhere this weekend. I told them no because I have to watch WrestleMania on Saturday. I'm also ordering some Lou Malnati's pizzas, like the frozen pizzas that you can like have catered.
I heard though they travel well.
They travel really well. And
what about Home Run Inn?
I haven't done Home Run Inn. I've just done Lou Malnati's pizzas. And the thing is about the Lou's on the frozen side, they're thinner. So it's deep dish, but they are thinner than the original
healthier.
pie.
Well, yes. It's practically a salad.
It's actually like a little easier to eat. Like it's a little easier to stomach. Like you could house one of those pies.
I heard you say it's healthy, and that's what I'm going to say
pretty
at home.
easily. Where a regular Lou's pie is like you're not moving. Like you're on the DL.
Now, how long have you cooked a frozen Lou Malnati's before? Like how long does it take?
Because
when you go to the restaurant, you got about 45 minutes.
It's like 35 to 40
minutes.
Right. Like it's a while, but like you gotta. It has good instructions, but you also have to like kind of play it by like eye. Like you got to really look at it. Yeah, you got to really play because the worst thing is cutting that sucker up and then you get a cold bite. Like that has to be the most demoralizing thing, I think.
Give that in your oven for 40 minutes and you still got some coldness.
Oh my God.
Either you got a really good freezer or you got a terrible oven.
I think that is like might be one of like the worst moments you could have eating wise is like you heat up like
trust me, I've had worse
cheese,
this year. You'll be okay.
A ham and cheese sandwich and you bite into that ham and cheese sandwich, then it's just stone cold in the middle and you're like, I didn't properly cook it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's tough, man. But yeah,
ham and
those
cheese.
are the people that go to convenience stores and use the microwave.
For the burrito? Don't squeeze the juice?
Yeah. You see them. We all been there. You watch them. They struggle a little bit with it.
What?
When they do not
properly, do not squeeze the juice.
When they do not properly warm up the burrito.
What are we you're warming up a burrito at a convenience store?
You never been to where they have a microwave? And you go in there and you get a burrito and you open up the plastic and you stick it in the microwave. And
that used to be a thing.
That is disgusting. No, absolutely not. I have never seen anybody buy a burrito and then heat it up in the same place.
Same time period, Nebraska's kicking all the ass in college football.
Like the quick trips and the quick shops, are they all out of microwaves, Casey's?
They might.
They don't let you do it on your own.
I have seen some, like your regular Stop and Rob.
Casey's got like a full restaurant. It's incredible. I didn't know what a Casey's was until I got here to Nebraska.
Well, unfortunately, you're not getting to see the best Casey's because there's a lot of Casey's that are in disarray.
Yeah,
I mean, you walk in, and by the way, you can play Vegas style games.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have seen. I surprisingly, guys, I have not partaken
168th
in playing a slot machine at Casey's
yet.
But if they did have valuable player points, maybe I would. Maybe if I could get a player's card, maybe I'd do it there. But I haven't played the slot machines.
Casey's and Burger King's in this town have taken a step back.
I mean, Burger King's everywhere.
Wendy's
have taken a step back. Wendy's, whoa,
yeah,
really,
yeah. You know how I feel about Wendy's? It used to always get you 20 and 10. Always played good defense,
what do
get you a
mean
bucket in the
20 and 10? We'll
playoffs.
get you
but
25 and 12.
now it's just 6 fouls.
Is there anything better than a Dave Single on a Wednesday afternoon
I could think of
there's
a couple
there's a
things.
couple things I could think of.
Yeah.
that are better than a Dave Single with a nice medium
On a Wednesday,
chocolate
On a
frosting?
Wednesday afternoon, in the afternoon?
probably
Oh, yeah.
about 100 things that I could rattle off right now that are better than that.
That's
I'm
being
sorry.
modest.
Your standards are awful low that you cannot find something better than a Dave Single on a Wednesday afternoon.
For one, a
I mean,
Dave's double would be better
Have
than
you
a
had a
Dave's
Dave
single.
Single with a chocolate frosty on a Wednesday afternoon? It's pretty great.
I've had a couple.
There you go. You've partaken. You
I've
understand
also had better things on a Wednesday afternoon.
it. I haven't.
Shout out Lawrence, Kansas.
Shout out Lincoln. Shout out Berries.
Hey, yeah, Barry's. I know Barry's. Been there many times.
Iowa JD tweets at Gary Sharp 1620 and Matt McMedia. Okay, boys, move on. Golf sucks.
It was whoa. It was a momentous occasion.
It was a
yesterday.
fun Sunday.
That was a momentous occasion.
He could send me that tweet if this was the middle of the summer and we were breaking down the tour stop in Detroit.
If we were really breaking down the John Deere Classic, yeah, okay, maybe we'll back off.
I don't think Iowa JD likes sports. I don't think he likes the raw emotion that is sports and the authentic reaction when you have battled and you've had some pitfalls and finally you make it to the mountaintop. I don't think Iowa JD likes sports. You know what? I think he's only in sports to rile up Husker fans, being an Iowa guy, and also make a lot of money from being a softball ump.
We had one of his guys in studio the other day.
Great series there, Creighton and Butler. By the way, great weekend. Creighton, Nebraska, and Omaha softball went 8-0, and they outscored their opposition 77-21. If you were watching, JD was working the series, the Butler Creighton series.
77-21.
He's behind the plate on Saturday.
Does he have a good strike call?
He does have a good strike call. He is a very, very good softball umpire.
So it's like Dutch
But his
Renner.
strike zone is a little bit, I mean, just ask any high school softball coach in the area. They'll be like, yeah, he's a nice guy, but man, I'd rather have him on the bases.
Is he here? Is he here on the front? Like, I need to know, Iowa JD. Do you do strike here with the fist out in front, or are you the double gun? Are you like the finger gun guy? Or would you be a finger gun guy or a fist guy?
I've worked one lone game with him. Never got invited back.
The Frank
Very, very
Pulley
sad.
punch.
He's by the book. He is kind of by the book.
Does he literally have the book out? Like he pulls out the book and he reads? Yeah.
He knows the rules. How about the big board for the next baseball coach at Nebraska, since Will will be fired after this weekend's performance in Iowa City?
We want a big board the big board's only for betting. The big board isn't for coaches.
Nebraska baseball is like a box of chocolates. Okay. You never know what you're going to get. That chocolate box looks so good when it's on the shelf and you're going to buy it and you're like, I have enough money, I'm going to buy it. I can't wait to open it. But then it's the mystery when you take off the top of the box and you're not really sure. You think that looks like that particular type of chocolate, but then you bite into it and it's not. And so you don't eat it all the way. So you put it back into the holder where the wrapper is.
In?
Oh, yes.
That's disgusting.
But I don't share my box of chocolates.
So do you eat it for later?
Hey, nobody else is putting their mouth on my chocolate.
What?
Okay, I'm a singular chocolate guy. Okay, and also I don't buy the box of chocolates very often. But in this case, Nebraska baseball, they went all in and they bought a big box of chocolates.
It's the biggest box of chocolates you can think of.
Will one day here? I'll just give you a summation of this weekend in Iowa City, which Nebraska lost 2 of 3.
You be my guest.
They were just eating all kinds of the chocolates. You know what? They were eating the chocolates in Lawrence. Then they took the box of chocolates to Iowa City. Huge crowds this weekend. Good to see. Rick Heller, who, full disclosure, when if Will Bolt had not been hired by Bill Moose, I contacted Bill Moose. I'm sure it's like if you do a Freedom of Information Act, my conversation with him is on there. I said, you got to hire Rick Heller. Rick Heller's a really good baseball coach. Longtime family friend. He's known my dad forever. But I think Rick Heller, who's the baseball coach at Iowa, is a great coach. And I said, if you're not able to get to the finish line with Will, Rick Heller would be someone that understands the Big Ten and understands the area, and he's be a really good representative for Nebraska. So if Will's not the guy, please consider Rick Heller. But Iowa is playing well. They've won 2 of 3. So you take your box of chocolates and you ride the bus over to Iowa City. Okay? And you know what?
And then you got half-eaten chocolates in there already.
No.
You got some wrappers that are in disarray.
Friday night, his man Will Walsh has got that box of chocolates on his lap on the bus.
Was it fresh? It's a fresh box, is what I take.
So he opens it up, and there's some nice chocolates in there that he's eating, like some really, really good chocolates.
Some turtles, some caramels. There's some truffle a little bit. There's a crunch. There's peanut butter.
And then he gets to the one, and he almost breaks his tooth.
Oh.
And that's the only one that is bad in the box of chocolates. Okay, but for the most part, it was a good box of chocolates. But you know what? When you haven't had a lot of good box of chocolates, you need a really, really good top to bottom box of chocolates. So they didn't get that on Friday. And then here on Saturday, so Will delivers a new box of chocolates, okay?
He buys a new one.
Because there's only one person that wants somebody else's mouth on his chocolate. And they're eating them, okay? They're enjoying them.
Yeah, they're loving them.
And then they're getting towards the end, and all of a sudden it's just rotten candy. Okay, the candy is just awful.
And he trips and he falls, and the box goes everywhere, and the chocolates fall out.
And then yesterday, yesterday was a little bit tough with the box of chocolates because I don't know if there was some residue from the chocolate that was left over on the box because they kept dropping it. They couldn't hold on to it properly. But then you know what? They reached in and they grabbed that one that's got some peanuts in
nougat,
it. And it's like, oh my God, this feels real good. So Dylan Carey hands it off to the guy, his seatmate. And he eats a chocolate, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is great!" And then you know what? Then you run into that place where like they have what is the pink stuff inside of the chocolate? That's the stuff. That's the stuff that's absolutely disgusting that only your grandpa and your grandma would eat. Okay, while they're sitting on their couch that has plastic on it. Okay, and then all of a sudden, a guy that is in the back of the bus, Max sets up and he goes, "Give me your chocolates." So he grabs the box of chocolates and he just, and then you know what?
That was a Donald Duck if I ever heard one.
And then we're getting towards the end of the box of chocolates. And Mr. Broderick says, "Not so fast. I would like a piece of chocolate." And he reached in and he grabbed his favorite chocolate and he said, So the chocolates were over for the weekend and only one box was good. That's what Nebraska basketball is.
That was a very,
Beautiful.
very
Beautiful,
roundabout
man.
way to say Nebraska went 1-2 on the weekend. They gave up one run on Friday, couldn't get any offense going. They fell apart on Saturday. And then yesterday, Max Budenbach, along with Tyler Stone, helped get the team over the hump and win the third game of the series.
As somebody who's eaten a lot of chocolates in his life, I commend you for taking me there. I feel like I was in said box and eating every chocolate.
You don't know what you're going to get.
No.
So now Nebraska and Creighton play tomorrow night. That's what I was asking about the weather. What's the weather for tomorrow?
Supposed to be nice, I think. A little windy today, but tomorrow looks good. I think it's been a good week. One day this week's supposed to be 86, but that's not tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I hope you or love you. Tuesday, 37 is the low, 66 is the high. We currently I don't have a forecast for game time, but it will be windy.
I mean, that's a given.
So there'll be 4,000 people to watch Nebraska Creighton tomorrow night at 6. Kind of a big game. Kind of a big game.
It is a big game.
But you have no idea what you're going to get out of Nebraska.
Have no clue.
Probably
could have.
You know what you get out of Creighton, even though they lost 2 of 3 this weekend. It wasn't a good weekend for baseball. Here's another thing that really was perfect for the Masters to be on. Is nobody was home this weekend. The 3 Division I baseball teams were all on the road. Storm Chasers were on the road. The only softball team that was home was Creighton. I mean, it was perfect. Thank you for not impeding on our Masters. Unfortunately, you youth parents that had to go to basketball, soccer, and
had to
baseball,
do all the travel sports,
that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay, don't have kids. All right, as we learned in the last hour, don't get married. Don't have kids.
Hey,
It'll
I'll just tell you this:
save a lot of hassle.
At the club, though, I mean, it's easier to hit your mark at the pro shop if you got a wife and kids. So maybe maybe that's the plus of that. You don't have to buy 37 polos, half of which you're probably not going to wear to hit your fees. But outside of that, don't have kids. You and I are in the same boat.
Zach writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Nebraska Athletics, you always know what you're getting. You always know what you're going to get.
I think that's on the contrary, if I'm being honest with you.
Nebraska men's athletics, garbage, embarrassing, pathetic. Nebraska women's athletics, something to be proud of.
Oh, wow. Look at Zach. That's, I think, the first positive email or positive thing you've ever read from him before.
I've read
positive
many.
lots of times.
He's Lego Maniac has been positive. He just we're having a downturn with football, men's basketball, and then of course baseball. But bowling, by the way, finished 3rd. They did not make it to the championship on Saturday night. They finished 3rd. But Nebraska softball went to Northwestern, beat Northwestern badly. I think I need to look more into the RPI of college softball. I think there's a good chance that Nebraska softball could be hosting.
Wow.
If Jordy, if Jordy Ball gets I think it's a general understanding that Peaches James is the GOAT of softball in the history of the state of Nebraska. Now, ironically, both of these young ladies are from the same high school, Papillion La Vista, and did work in high school for that incredible softball program. But if Jordy Ball, what she did at Oklahoma, and she comes back to her home state, has to overcome the knee injury last year in the first game, and leads them all the way to the College World Series in Oklahoma City.
That'd be incredible.
And she doesn't need to win the championship, but gets Nebraska to Oklahoma City, then I think it's a fair thing to say, all right, Peaches, you've had a great run. You're still an incredible softball player, but now Jordy is the GOAT. But I think Nebraska softball has what are they, third in the Big Ten? I think they have a shot to host a regional.
34th in the RPI.
Okay, so they maybe have a little work to do.
NCAA softball, 29-10. But a lot of these teams that they'll be competing against, like, are in the double-digit loss column outside of Oregon, who's having an incredible season. They're 35-4. But I mean, just from just seeing the records here, like they're going to have a shot. They definitely would probably be on the back end of it. But yeah. I mean, they're having an incredible year. Jordy Ball is awesome.
Speaking of women's athletics in Lincoln, one thing that was approved after we were off the air is that John Cook.
Yes.
The John Cook Arena is going to happen. Plus, there's going to be a statue. So I'm thinking, all right, the statues that exist at Nebraska outside of the football stadium, like the Devaney statue and the Osborne statue, now over by the Osborne Legacy Complex, they look close to reality.
Oh, yeah.
They look like, okay, you recognize Devaney.
Oh, yeah.
You recognize T.O. You go out to Warner Park, you got the Bob Gibson statue. That looks like Bob Gibson. There are other statues, like the Dwayne Wade one does not look like Dwayne Wade.
No, Cristiano Ronaldo one does not look, especially the one that's the full body.
There is a statue to this day that really, really bothers me because I know a lot of people that had a lot of input and it was a big, big deal. The Marlon Briscoe statue bugs me. Have you guys seen this?
Why does it bug you?
Because the head is disproportionate to the body. I mean, I love the fact that they recognized Marlon Briscoe and everything that went into that, and that Marlon was with us to celebrate with all of his friends.
He looks like a turtle.
Well, they unveiled the statue, and I was there for the unveiling, and you had to kind of couch your response because you're like, ooh, that doesn't look so good.
Yeah. The face itself, like I'm looking at the details, it looks good. He looks like
the head to the body, like the shoulder pads. It looks like the shoulder pads are swallowing up Marlon's face. So John Cook's going to get a statue. Joe Mauer got a statue yesterday at Target Field.
Good for Joe.
It actually looks really, really good. And I like, they didn't do like Joe.
Oh, it looks great.
They did Joe as a catcher, and it looks really, really good. I don't know, because I've never had a statue done of me. When they are doing a statue of you...
Yeah, I mean, your last day at the Zone, they could maybe
You never know.
Not a chance.
They could name the Desert Dome, the Gary Sharp Memorial Desert Dome. No. And as you walk into when you walk into the Desert Dome...
I was thinking the studio, but...
In big letters,
I'm not sure how we got from 50th and Capitol to 13th and...
You walk into the Desert Dome, and it just says, do yourself before you do others.
If you knew him well enough, you'd know it actually would be the Penguin Preserve would be.
Oh, yes. That's a good point. We have talked about the Penguins.
But if you have a statue done of you, which I think is really, really cool, sometimes it's a little creepy to do a statue of somebody that is living.
I agree.
Or to worship.
I mean, I don't know.
Worship a statue if you're at Pedophile U in State College.
Indeed.
Sometimes you can't be bigger than the program.
So that's a left turn.
But when they do a statue of you, do you get to see the bust before they unveil it?
No.
So the first time you see it is when they pull the cloth off?
To my understanding is that almost every single time I've seen a statue unveiling, the person has no idea what it is going to look like.
Rocky, he didn't know.
Right? And so I've seen like they do it sometimes, like pranks. I'm pretty sure before the bad Dwayne Wade statue, they did a prank on Dwayne Wade that he was going to have a bad statue, which is really, really funny.
So he got reality and fake.
Yeah, it got it twisted together.
Which one's real?
But no, that you don't see it, and then when they unveil it, it's like that's what it is. Like that's what you're looking at. That's where you are. And now, to my understanding, I don't know how often they really change. Like statues, like I don't really know how many times they go back to the drawing board and they like redo some of these things.
You can't unless it's just it's the wrong person. Like you can't change a statue. But the John Cook statue that is going to be outside of that building, outside of the Devaney Center,
got to be the cowboy hat Reese.
So this is I'm very curious. I'm now. I hope whoever has done the other statues that are on the Nebraska campus, even the mammal. That they do it because they like Osborne looks like Osborne. Devaney looks like Devaney.
But I wonder if they're just going to do him standing with a clipboard or if they're going to do like an actual like emotional. I'm sure you have a better idea.
No, I have no idea. But what I would suggest is when Nebraska won the national championship here in Omaha, and John Cook is holding the trophy up above his head.
There you go. Like that. I think that would be good. Have you ever seen the Sean Taylor statue?
Yes.
They never fixed that. They never went back and redid that.
I don't think you can go back and redo a statue.
But it wasn't a statue. They made a mannequin. It wasn't even Taylor. They literally just put his jersey and a helmet on mannequin and said, "Hey, here's our Sean Taylor statue." I mean, they never went back and did like a bronze bust or anything like that. Like that's ridiculous. It's the last thing Dan Snyder ever did there.
Oh, you just summed it up right there. That's true. Dan Snyder. Enough said.
There's got to be video of just a ISO on Dwayne Wade, right? As he was watching it unveiled.
Has to be. Same thing with like Ronaldo. I'm sure when Ronaldo saw those, Ronaldo's had like 2 or 3 statues done of him, which is kind of quite impressive. Like I think in his hometown in Portugal, there's a statue. And then there's another, like in the airport, there's a statue. And then like in his hometown, like the actual town, there's a statue.
Why doesn't Creighton have a statue?
They will.
Creighton needs a statue.
They will. When Mac retires, they will.
What if they did a father-son statue?
Oh, that'd be great.
But would it be on campus or would it be outside of the CHI?
It had to be at the Chi.
Yeah.
It would have to be at the Chi.
Perfect.
Wouldn't you have to get like some special permission?
Do they still have those mines there that pointed? And
you would have. Oh my God, you would have to.
They do have those.
Okay. I mean, I bet the permits from the city would be a nightmare. The zoning over all that. Oh my God. Be terrible. And the traffic too, to build a statue.
I think you could do a really cool father-son statue.
You can do like cool thing where like Doug is taking a shot and like it's the actual photo of like Greg McDermott up on the sideline. And then you can do the cute thing where you measure them apart where it's like they were exactly 38 feet apart when this shot happened. You can get creative.
You could also make a case that the Bob Gibson statue would make more sense at Creighton than it would out at Warner Park. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Evan Bland will join us in an hour as Nebraska begins week 4 of spring football. And that baseball team, tomorrow night, Nebraska and Creighton at 6 downtown. So both teams lost 2 of 3 this weekend. Omaha lost 2 of 3. Wow. Might have a quiet June around here for local baseball.
Yeah.
All right, it is Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, something that is not quiet is when the storms roll through the area and your roof or your siding or your gutters are taking a beating. Next thing you know, the storm passes by and you're wondering, oh my gosh, what is going on with my roof? Is my roof in trouble? Well, there's only one place to look. They are an Omaha roofing company. They are Moose Roofing. They know roofing, siding, and gutters. They are here before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. And they've been in the Omaha area, serving Southwest Iowa all the way to Lincoln and in between since the late 90s. Pat Moose and his entire crew, they are the MVPs of roofing in Omaha. Over 15,000 roofs. Why so many? Because of the work that they do on residential, roof repair and service, and commercial roofing. They just don't show up and put a roof on, which would be very uncomfortable if you didn't need a roof and all of a sudden Moose Roofing showed up and they threw a roof up on your house. What they do is they sit down and they take their time to get to know you. They go over all the key elements of your roofing system. They have a scientific method with their ventilation system that gives you maximum net-free area, showing how to fortify the roof before the next major storm of course, or if you're looking to sell your house, they'll also tell you how proper and preventive maintenance can save you thousands on the lifetime of your roof. And to go a step further, as you walk through with the consultants, and Pat told me this, there are a lot of insurance companies that are like, they're hemming and hawing. Well, that's where Moose Roofing, they take over. They have an entire department that is dedicated to helping you navigate the ever increasingly difficult insurance claims process. You need a new roof? Go to the best. They'll take care of you. It'll be nice and clean and reputable. It is Moose Roofing. Contact them today online at mooseroofing.com. How about Saturday night on CBS? You go from the Masters right into the 10 Commandments.
Oh, that used to be on ABC.
Yeah,
Sunday night.
I know. What happened there? How'd they, did CBS take it away from ABC?
No more 48 hours Saturday night with Connie Chung.
That's still not better than when they went from the Super Bowl to the floor. Never forget that.
I went from the Super
Whatever
Bowl
happened to that show? You were hyping that
you were
show?
all in.
I haven't seen it. I turned it on and it's not there. It's not an option for me to watch on YouTube TV. I love the floor.
You know it's bad if Fox passes on it. But Farmer wants a wife, multiple seasons.
I wonder what the ratings were like for 10 Commandments, because it was a beautiful transition Saturday night. They went right from the end of the Masters right into the 10 Commandments.
Can Rory get it done? And now we go to Jerusalem.
Here's Charleston Heston.
Here is Jesse. Good morning, Jesse.
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 I like Jesse. Jesse's a good caller, too.
He had ideas.
Jesse always has ideas.
What were his ideas to fix college football?
No. Well, that might have been later, but
That's
he had Creighton
ideas.
statue ideas for you.
Oh.
He wanted to really discuss and break down what would go in front of the chai.
Like a dual shooting Corver and Doug McDermott.
Benoit Benjamin.
Pretty cool.
Benoit Benjamin and Willis Reed together?
How about we just build all the statues?
How about we
just build all build 7 statues?
Stop the run of statues? Okay, especially for people that are alive.
Why? Okay, wait. I disagree with you.
Because what happens if you have to take them down?
Yeah.
Well, so what? You just take them down. Didn't Nick Foles have a statue or was that a joke for Philly? Didn't Bud Light put a Nick Foles Philly statue?
You just answered
up there?
your question. Did Bud Light?
I think Bud Light put a statue for Nick Foles. No. Here's why you need to put it up when they're alive. Because they get to see it. Right? You get to see what your statue looks like. You get to have that moment. You get to look at yourself be immortalized in front of the building that you did.
I don't know.
When
I was growing up, I was studying history, and they put up statues that you had to, praise and bow down to. Maybe I just have that in my head from my younger days.
Yeah, I don't know if people are going to be full bowing down, saying prayers to a Greg McDermott statue.
I don't know.
You see some of the people at T.O. statue.
Probably not Mac, but I've seen Penn State. You know what?
You're back on the Penn State.
Because the Joe Paterno statue.
That take it down.
People were beside themselves that they took the Joe Paterno statue down and they moved it. Now it's back, not at its location, but it is somewhere on campus, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was a storage facility.
It's in a closet.
Hey, you know what? It
would have been a student union.
It would have been a great opportunity for Josh Heupel the other day, and he was talking about Nico to say, you know what? Nobody is bigger than the program. Look at Penn State. They had a coach that grew bigger than the program. They had a statue, and the next thing you know, you got a locker room, and you got a shower, and then you got to take the statue down. Now he would.
Yeah, I don't think the Pat Fitzgerald statue is going up anytime soon. It's in front of
but okay,
Ryan Field.
So let's say
no.
Because it would have made sense to build a Pat Fitzgerald statue at Northwestern.
It was going to be built.
Boop, you would have had to take it down.
Yeah. I mean, but now they're just never going to build it.
Or you would have had to put a cover on it. Or probably Northwestern, very liberal, right?
Very.
Okay, they probably would have destroyed it. They probably would have gone Saddam Hussein on it.
But they'll put one
up, pulled
it
down, and dragged it across campus.
What are we doing here?
Put it out in Lake Michigan.
Jimmy's rubbing off on the analogies right now. We're just all over the park.
It's not like we just started doing a show
Saddam
together.
Hussein to Penn State to Pat Fitzgerald.
Did you not see what they did to Saddam Hussein's statue?
No, I didn't. I assume they
Why do
tore
you
it
think
down.
Iraq's not in the Big Ten? And they were vetted.
I think there are other. But
where would you like to start on reasons why they're not in the Big Ten?
Hey, Scott Frost did want to play in Uzbekistan. But they got a university out there. Uzbekistan University versus Nebraska. Probably give a bigger challenge than Bowling Green will next year.
Who had a better day on Saturday, Tennessee or Nico?
Tennessee. Nico Harris?
If Nico might get paid.
No. Tennessee.
Hey,
Tennessee had a much better day.
Good for both.
Yeah.
Good for Tennessee. Good for Nico. You know
I don't
what?
think so.
And better for all of us when we, first of all, stop calling it NIL and call it pay for play. Mm-hmm. And also we treat our college sports like pro sports, and we'll understand it a lot better. Good for Tennessee on standing up, and good for somebody because you have to learn life lessons. Sometimes you get bad advice. I think one of the downfalls of this era where there's no guardrails on NIL is we just to let people influence young people that are not, like, so to speak, in the business.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have any His agent is his dad. So I know what his dad's after. All right. His dad is giving terrible advice. The kid might actually be like a good person, but now he's got this stain on him. But if you had like a real agent that could help you through this, you probably don't make this public to begin with.
No.
It got out there public. This happens all the time. Dylan Raiola renegotiated in the offseason, but they don't get public. This one got public. We got uncomfortable because we are like, oh, I'm still holding on to the college. Well, let's treat it as the pro. But good for Tennessee for standing up. I mean, Tennessee started this, though. Tennessee gave him a big chunk coming out of high school, which is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big retain reward. They gave him a big chunk. So the precedent was already set there. You had dad who said, son, I wouldn't go all in on the video game unless you get paid.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but good on Tennessee for standing up.
10 toes down.
But then also good for Nico. We all ask for raises, right? You got to deal with the consequences. You got to deal with, hey, if somebody turns you down, you want a raise, you're trying to play the market value. And if they turn you down, what do you got to do? Hopefully there'll be a lesson learned on both sides. Will there be a lesson learned in college football? But I didn't have a problem with either side.
I have a problem. I'm proud of Tennessee. I am proud of Tennessee for setting a precedent and saying, hey, we're not going to get pushed around by players. You signed this deal. This is your deal. This is what you think you're valued at. We're not going to get extorted. I'm not. I don't think it is good for Nico. Nico can't go to another SEC school. You're in a tough spot right now in the spring portal where, a lot of these teams have spent a ton of money on their roster already, right? And now with rev share, we still have a question mark of what that is going to be. And so you have schools that, first off, can't go to the SEC, and then you have the other schools who are like, do we really have $4 million, let alone $2.5 million to drop on this guy? Especially what if you've gone through spring ball at this point and you feel really good about your quarterback situation?
Well, then you aren't even in the conversation.
Exactly.
But there aren't a lot of those. There are schools out there like a UCLA, even in North Carolina, that go, all right, even though the last time we saw him, it was against Ohio State.
I don't know.
He still quarterbacked his team to the playoff. There'll be a market out for him because there's not a collusion.
Yeah,
I would
love
college football coaches to stand up and go, hey, good on you, Tennessee. We're going to do the same thing. But you know what? There's so much money out there. There's so much instant gratification that they're going to say, you know what? That guy can change us, and we will pay for him to come.
We'll see what he gets paid when he gets paid, but I don't think he's even played like a $4 million quarterback, in my opinion. He is a fine young prospect, and he's good, but he's not great.
He got what the market, should a mid SEC quarterback, maybe top 3-4 quarterback, get $4 million? I don't know what the market is.
Well, there is no market.
In the NFL, but the NFL, the best quarterback is not the highest paid, correctly?
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about timing.
Well, but
it's all about what the market will give you. And Tennessee at the time were desperate for a quarterback because we're in a world of college football where you're desperate for a quarterback. You will overpay. The problem is they paid him a lot of money at the beginning before he ever took a snap. And so that set a precedent with him and the family that this is what we should get paid. We went to the playoff. We want more money. Tennessee stood up. The family asked for a raise.
But
that's what life is.
But is being the quarterback of North Carolina better than being the quarterback of Tennessee? Is being the quarterback of UCLA better than being the quarterback of Tennessee? I think he was in a great situation.
But wherever you're at, your goal is to make the NFL, right?
Yeah, but I think he has a much better chance at doing that in the SEC with the talent that they have at Tennessee, who just went to the college football playoff, than he does at UCLA.
Go to North Carolina, where the guy at North Carolina.
I don't know. But the jury is still out on North Carolina and whether or not it's really going to work out. If we're being honest, I mean, Bill Belichick. Let's be real here. Bill Belichick in the last couple of years in New England, it did not go well. Not only from a managerial standpoint, but a coaching standpoint as well. He's never been in the college game, and I understand that college sports are now closer to the NFL than it ever has been, but there still is a big differential between coaching in the pros and coaching in college. And so that's a question mark I have if he goes there. And UCLA has not been a great program over the last couple of years, and they still very much are rebuilding. And so I think that this is a classic thinking you're going to make all your money right now and trying to make as much money as possible and potentially hemorrhaging the future, because I would much rather be the quarterback at Tennessee making $2.5 million.
It's all instant gratification.
That's a problem.
Well,
and it's also
a
a problem that you got people too, like you have agents, right? Who agents get deals done because that's how they make their salary, right? They get 10% off the deal. Well, Nico's dad isn't getting 10%. Nico's dad is, you got to think getting more than that and benefiting way more off of that. So he's negotiating not just for his son and not just for the validity of his job. He's negotiating for himself. And that's bad. And that's where you get into problems. And that's where you get bad advice. And so, but I think this is terrible for Nico. I really do. I think it would have been much better for him to just be the quarterback at Tennessee, go out, have a great season, and then either you go, then your next season you go, hey, I played well, pay me more money, pay me $6 million.
I'm not gonna fault the kid for wanting a raise and going to get a bag. All right, it sucks, but that's what, when you have no leadership, you have these situations. Now, is it going to change college sports? No, I'm waiting for the next Nico that's going to happen. But there's also there's a bunch of layers to this. There's also that particular position. What is the only quarterback in the 23 class, like the top 10 quarterbacks that has not transferred, and he's making a lot of money, is Arch Manning, correct?
Yeah.
So he has stayed at Texas. When you look at what happened at Tennessee and you look from a Nebraska lens, you can say, I'm relieved that Nebraska doesn't have any worries about their quarterback position.
Yeah.
But are we crazy to think that Nebraska may lose their quarterback next year? Because 4 stars and 5 stars, what's the history of them staying with their original school?
Low, very low at this point. I mean, and honestly, I think Nebraska was pretty fortunate that Dylan played pretty well, half decent too, because we've seen recently some 4 or 5 stars not play well when they're thrown into the fire right away, and that affects whether or not they want to leave as well at the end of the year. But here's the problem with college sports at this point, and it's I mean, it's just year to year at this. Like you have no clue who you're going to have in your roster.
Well, everybody,
next year.
You have to operate. Let everybody is in the portal.
Yeah, and it's just like what happens if a team comes over the table and says, "Hey, we're going to give you $9 million." Hey, Dylan, like we understand you love Nebraska, but here's $9 million, and Nebraska can only say, "Well, the best we can do is 5." Literally, the best we can do is 5. How can you blame Dylan or any quarterback for that matter for getting up and walking away and taking that incredible amount of money? I mean, it really is just how much are you willing to spend at this point? How much money are you willing to put on the table? But I do think that, just bringing it all back to Nico, I think this is a case in point of just you need good guidance, and it was a strategical error on his point. And once I agree with you, I don't blame him for asking for a raise. I don't blame him for doing that, but I do blame him for missing practices and not going to the spring game and not going to meetings. And I credit Tennessee all the way for being like, no. We are still a football team. This is how we operate. Yeah. You do those things, you won't be here anymore.
So that's fine. I wouldn't call. I never bought into the phrase holdout. But
it's not a holdout.
That's good. Good that he didn't go. You know what? Why would you go there and be fake? Okay.
Sure.
Why would you do that to your teammates? And I'll tell you, there are probably teammates, and we don't know. There's always more to the story, of course. Maybe his teammates are like, "Good on you." All right. Maybe there's stuff going on.
I don't know. The one tight end did say
Tennessee will be better. Well, they all say that.
I know.
Okay. But are his boys like, "Hey, go get yourself something"?
I don't know. I mean, this is all speculative.
But there's also another thing. Is there are no guarantees that you're going to play in the NFL. And so we see more people that are looking at this going, this is my only opportunity to get paid. Now, some are different, and you know right away that they're going to be playing for a lot of money, and they're going to be playing in the league.
Sure.
But guys are looking at it now of, this is my opportunity to get paid. There's no guarantee. This is my window to get paid. And I'm going to try and exhaust that to the fullest to get my cash. And then if I get to the NFL, great. But what if I don't? There's no guarantees that you're going to be in the NFL. You might get injured.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a tragedy yesterday in college football. Yes. I mean, I think there is so much instant gratification with college football right now when it comes to the student athlete that there's no leadership, there's no guardrails, and people are having a hard time with this. Instant gratification is really hurting college
sports. Which is why you need proper guidance and proper people who can monitor situations for you and tell you, hey, man, Like, based on how you've been playing and where you're tracking and who's interested in you and what we believe and what we've seen in the past, you're going to make a lot more money down the line. Don't sacrifice a good opportunity here to make more money elsewhere where you might be put in a worse spot.
Yeah,
because
they don't have the best interest of the young man or young woman. Now, here's one thing that has popped up, and I know this was a question on a donation that was made to 1890, is how much money goes to the agent? What percentage goes to the agent?
Well, I
like
think,
if I'm in the
sure,
and it's pay for play, we need to stop calling it NIL. It's pay for play. Is I'm giving money so that we can retain X player or bring a player in, but I want that money to go to him. I don't want 7% to go to his agent. And that, I know somebody brought that up that is donating 1890. They said, hey, do you have a ballpark of like this donation I'm making? Is it going to go all to the player, or how will this be broken up? Will an agent get a piece?
Probably. I mean, but that's just the deal of doing business, right? I mean, you're just paying the contract, and whatever the contract is, that's just what you have to deal with. I don't know. I think when you get into those conversations, you get into kind of like the slippery slope of like, all right, now we have NIL deals, so we can pay off these agents as opposed to just paying the players the full amount.
Well, remember, it goes straight to the player.
Yeah.
And then they've got to pay that agent.
Yeah, I understand that that's a concern, and you want the money that you give to go to the player, but I think that's just kind of the deal of doing business at this point. And frankly, I want players to have agents. I think it's paramount that they have agents and people who have done this before, negotiated before, and know what they're actually doing in these deals, as opposed to, look, Matt Rule said it on Saturday. There's a lot of people giving a lot of bad advice, and they're giving some of that bad advice because that bad advice puts a little change in their pocket, you know? And so you have to be wary of the people who are actually trying to help you and the people who are actually just trying to help themselves.
All right, Evan Bland's going to join us a little bit later. The portal opens up on Wednesday. Nico.
It's been a bad year
to North Carolina. I don't know. You'd be playing for an NFL Super Bowl champion coach and a guy that is the GM of their program was a GM in the NFL. If you had a good year, don't you think they'd help you?
But you have to have a good year. You got to have a good year, and you would probably have a more likely chance of having a good year if you're at Tennessee.
Oh, man, bad last time we saw him.
Well, yeah, their last outing. But they were playing the college football playoff.
There will always be a market. No collusion, always a market. Would be great if there was collusion, but somebody needs a quarterback. There's so much money, somebody needs to win.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at him and go, we can use you. All right. Evan Bland coming up in the next hour on 1620 The Zone.
Underdog just became one of the best places to make picks during the NBA playoffs with their Extender promo. With the Extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost. They start this weekend, and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. You get it. It is one of the leading sports apps that is Underdog, and you can play now in your states. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. So to play, all you have to do is download the app, choose whether a player goes higher or lower, what other stats, points, assists. There's a lot more than just that. You get the idea. If you get your picks correct, you can win up to 1,000 times your money, so you can turn $1 into $1,000 just so your hoops knowledge this week on Underdog. Well, first I'm looking at this play-in tournament nonsense that they do now, but you know what? They're basketball games. They're competitive, and they present opportunities for me to win money, and I like money. Again, it buys things, or more accurately for grown-ups, it pays off all those damn bills. Anyway, here's what you do. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code ZONE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 19 plus, a Nebraska president of the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. A lot of stuff. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Hey.
Would have jumped the gun.
If
Shikari.
you are over the NIL, the portal, all of that stuff, and you're like, I just want Saturdays in the fall when they play the games because we do a bad job of the off season.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
You're like the Nico stuff. That's on Tennessee. Shouldn't have backed that up. But the big story in college football this weekend
is
Fox and ESPN. So Reese Davis was approached by Fox to leave ESPN and join Big Nude Kickoff, but he has elected to stay at ESPN. Look at Fox taking a run at the host of Game Day. They already got Rinaldi. They got Bear. They were trying to get the host, not McAfee, not Saban, not Woodson, Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
Not Herb Street. They were going after the host to take over Fox's Big Nude Kickoff.
So no Stone? They don't like Stone anymore?
Oh, what does that do to the locker room at Fox?
I know. That made me rattle a couple of cages. I mean, Stone's looking around being like, you kidding me? I've been producing 270 seasons with an OPS plus of 121 for the last 10 years, and you guys are looking to replace me? What?
How about Fox swinging? Like
I don't
going
blame
after ESPN.
I like it.
I still think Chris Fowler was a better host than Reese Davis. There are some guys at ESPN that they try and also that were really good in the studio, like back in the day when SportsCenter was a thing.
Sure.
They were hosting SportsCenter, or they're doing studio shows that they try and do play-by-play. Like Reese Davis, football play-by-play. Carl Ravitch, Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah,
but
I'm on board.
That's a big win for ESPN, but good on Fox, man. They could spice things up in that rivalry on Saturday mornings.
It was one of those hits where, you don't win the game off of a big hit, but you send a message. All right, that was a message sender.
All right, Evan Bland going to join us here in the next hour. We'll talk some football, some baseball, life, everything else involving Evan. That's coming up at about 8:40 on 1620 The Zone. All right, the NBA playoffs begin this week, playing games tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then the tournament begins on the weekend. Jimmy, as the NBA Rain Man of the show.
Yes.
I think this is...
I hate most teams, yes.
You do.
But not our Timberwolves.
No. How about the Lakers and the Timberwolves meeting? That could be a little spicy.
A little.
I think it's only one time, maybe in the last 50 years, that somebody that was higher than a 3 seed or lower than a 3 seed won the title.
Wasn't it the Rockets?
95.
Yeah.
Yep. They were 6.
Yeah.
I remember very well.
How about
and then I think the Celtics, like when was it 69? They were a 4 seed. But if you look at the 95 Rockets, look at the path that they took and who they beat to win the title that year.
They beat a 60-win team, a 59-win team, and a 62-win team, and then finished it off by beating another 60-win team in the finals.
It was an unbelievable run of like
9 road
HOFers that they had to beat to win the title.
Came back from 3-1 down without the home court advantage.
And then they swept the Shaq and Penny, which you ever see that magic moment, the 30 for 30, incredible 30 for 30.
Saw it happen.
I know. That's absolutely insane. Didn't the Nets
one damn home game?
Hey, Jimmy,
couldn't win game 1 because Sean Elliott doesn't go out to cover Robert Orr. Actually, I think that was Rodman's F up. Game 2, we just didn't show up. In game 5, we just decided we're good with the season.
Hey, what year did the Nets get to the NBA Finals? Was that 02?
02 and 03.
Yeah. They were
swept in 02 and they lost in 6 and 03.
Okay. But they weren't.
It was a fun night.
They were a top seed, right? They weren't a mid seed.
No, they were a top seed.
They were top seed.
They were a 1 in 02 and a 2 in 03. They
think.
swept Detroit in the conference finals. Then Tim Duncan kicked their ass. Almost had a quadruple double in game 6.
I'm trying to think of
so Oklahoma City, Houston, Lakers, Cleveland, Boston, Knicks. Champion will come from one of those 6 if we do not have an oddity like the 95 Rockets.
2018 Cavs, they were a 4 seed, 3 seed or a 4 seed?
They were high, yeah.
They were a high seed, but they didn't end up winning the NBA title. I absolutely love the Celtics this year. I think that the Cavaliers are going to be good for quite a while. Don't get me wrong, but the championship pedigree that the Celtics have, along with the fact that they're playing great basketball. But hey, look out for Indiana. Indiana looks pretty good, 8-2 in their last 10 games. So I'm a fan.
Seriously, he gives up the shot to Ori in game 1, takes his damn shoes off, and sits in the corner.
Hey, you ready to learn Josh Giddey on Wednesday? You ready? You ready, my man? You ready to play the play-in game at the Madhouse? It's been years.
Didn't they tear down the Madhouse?
Oh, they took down the sign. It's the worst thing that's ever happened in that stadium. I don't understand why they took why it's no longer called the Madhouse on Madison.
Because the true Madhouse on Madison was torn down 30 years ago.
You mean Chicago Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
there's no comparison.
That was the Madhouse.
There's no comparison.
I know. I've been told my entire life, guys.
You would have loved it.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I love the UC. Have you ever?
It's a great place.
It is an incredible place to watch a game. The amenities they have, especially if you're that
it's
200.
Well.
If you're in that 200 Lexus Club level, oh my God. What a viewing experience. You're a little elevated. You see the court or you see the ice very nicely.
I was in the Ford Taurus Club.
You can go and get some private barbecue or go to the taqueria, get some nice tacos.
You know, some of us like to sit where our blue-collar fans are at, so we sit way up at the top. We're not as bougie as you are.
No, I'm
Section 318 at the Hemisphere Arena.
You are so bougie.
I am bougie. I like luxury.
That's good. That's good. Some of us like, we have to sit with the ham and eggers.
Some of us only got Whataburger on payday.
Ham and egger.
Give me the Budweiser right field porch. Give me the Catalina Club. Give me the 1914 Club.
Some of us were told you have nachos at home.
Give me the Lexus Club. Give me the Diamond Club.
Here's one thing that needs to be mentioned, because this will be a great series between Denver and the Clippers. So, Tyronn Lue, maybe one of the greatest basketball players in the history of Nebraska basketball, has his number retired.
NBA championship coach.
Does he have a statue?
He does not have a statue, and I don't think they should build a statue. And I also don't think he'll ever come back here and be the head coach, as some people have wondered.
Unless Iverson's stepping over.
Tyronn Lue didn't drink, didn't smoke. He is about as real as it can be. And he won an NBA title.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, and then, LeBron got sideways, and Tyronn Lue took the fall. Then he has come back. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know how closely you follow the Western Conference, but because the Bean team, which, by the way, we're hosting a play-in game against the Mavs.
Hey, made it in.
Hey,
wait, Mavs Kings,
babe.
just like the good old days.
Yeah, we made it to 40 wins, but we're 14th. We'd have the 14th overall pick, so we have to find a way to move up. But no Kawhi Leonard for 45 games.
Yeah,
the Clippers trade Paul George, and yet they have found a way to get to the 5 seed, winning 50 games. Tyronn Lue, have yourself a basketball life, because that's pretty impressive. And if you've watched him,
I think it's his
all
best
of a
job.
sudden. So yesterday, it was wild. The emotion of sports yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not on the level of the Masters, but you had the Masters going on, you had the Rory coaster, but you had a wild, and it had a ton of importance because Golden State fell into the play-in game. You had Golden State and the Clippers going to overtime, and they were on double screen. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But Tyronn Lue has gotten that Clipper team, and they're playing well. Like Kawhi Leonard.
Broken quitter Leonard.
If you haven't watched the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is back. He is engaged. Harden is playing well.
Come on, Zaza, where are you?
They look really, really good. That series, them and the Nugs, are going to be a great series. But shout out Tyronn Lue, man. He is a great basketball
He's become
life.
a pretty
Great
damn
basketball
good
life.
basketball coach.
Yes.
He's a
Winner.
guy, definitely got tossed around a little bit, definitely toward the end of that Cleveland Cavaliers series, or Cleveland Cavalier ending. But I think that, he is really good, and I've always admired how handling superstars is really tough. It is a difficult thing to do in the NBA because these guys at times think they're bigger than the game and that they're bigger than the team. And what he's had to endure over there in LA in terms of the load management, in terms of the superstars they've had, the expectation, the loud owner, the brand new arena.
Look at the personalities that are on that roster.
Oh, yeah. And even dating back, I mean, like, they've had plenty of personalities on that rosters for the last couple of years, coupled with massive expectations. So the fact that he, throughout it all, you've never had like a problem with Tyronn Lue or a Mike Malone situation with Tyronn Lue or a Frank Vogel or a Doc Rivers where it's like there's obvious tension or there's tides. Like, he has kept that ship straight. And like, there have been plenty of reasons for that ship to go awry because of the lack of results they've had with what they've invested. But I'm lockstep with you. I'm incredibly impressed. They're playing like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the Western Conference. And at the end of the stretch,
Lakers, Wolves,
love it.
Denver, Clippers,
love it.
Let's go.
Then you have
let's go Joker.
I'd be very worried if I'm a Knicks fan because you got to face the Pistons, and then Indiana, Milwaukee. This could be the end for Milwaukee. How healthy is Dame? What happens to Giannis? That'll be a fun series.
Here's one that really piques my interest, and granted, this is all based on what happens in the play, right? But Golden State versus Houston will be a fascinating series if Golden State can lock up that 7 seed. Houston, incredibly young, having a great year. But I mean, it's still the Warriors, and it's a Warriors team that has played a lot better from the beginning of the year up until now since they've gotten Jimmy Butler. Now, they definitely haven't been on the stretch.
They went 23-8, taking my malcontent, and they still could only make a play-in game.
I know. But they're only
Golden State's on a run here of the play-in game, right?
As of recently, yeah. Like during COVID, they were in the play-in game. Then they won it in 2020. They won the title what year, Jimmy? 2022?
We're talking about the Warriors?
Yeah. It's 2022. So I don't know were they in the play-in game last year? They might have been, but they were in it during COVID.
They've been in the play-in game now for 2 straight years.
And then they did play in the one where LeBron got poked in the eye and he claimed that he saw 3 rims and he aimed for the middle one. And then
he watched Rocky IV.
They ended up losing that series to Phoenix, who then went to the NBA championship. That was an incredible series, that Lakers-Phoenix game that people forget about. Went 6 games.
There is also hockey is wrapping up this week. For the first time in NHL history,
I saw this.
The original 6 will all miss the playoffs in the same season, so we will not have hockey is graded 8.
Damn.
Because the Penguins will not be involved. The Blackhawks will not be involved.
Bruins
are out.
Ranger.
Bruins have had a fall, a quick fall. But
can I tell you?
But TV. So the TV ratings, even though we're going to get Colorado, Dallas, which is unbelievable. You get that as
Pretty
a
good.
first-round series. No Rangers, no Penguins, no Bruins. Good luck with
Crazy.
the TV ratings.
You still have Toronto, though. Toronto's still in the playoffs.
Yeah, they await their heartbreak.
So,
But
I mean-
Rangers, Pittsburgh,
Oh, yeah.
Boston, those three really great hockey markets.
I don't think it's ever happened. I think it's like the first time in like the modern era that has occurred. Look, I have no remorse for the
Same.
Boston Bruins not having
Oh.
a good season this year. All right. It's about damn time. All right. They've been so good for so long. And the whole Boston way and Bruin way and taking lesser money. I'm by the way, I'm sick and tired of the Bruins because they haven't won that much to really like all those people there in Boston brag about, oh my God, we're so great. This organization's incredible. Look at the leadership. Bergeron, Marchand and Chara. Oh my God, they're incredible. They take lesser money. Look how long we've been successful. You've won one cup. Won one cup in 15 years.
Still one cup.
Longer than that.
It was 2011.
About 50 years they've won that one cup.
Yeah. Well, it's been 15 years since they've won a cup, and all these guys have just, oh my God, we're so great, and then oh my God, when Florida
They had a
beat
nice
them.
run of President trophies.
Oh yeah.
Good luck to Winnipeg.
Yeah. Hang the
but
banner.
Speaking of hockey, so it is Monday night. It is after the Masters. The NFL draft is still week and a couple of days away.
Yeah, we can't really dive in there.
You get a little baseball tonight. Here's where, in terms of a sport and wanting to grow a sport that misses out on a golden opportunity, how come the national championship game for hockey is not being played tonight? And yet it was played on Saturday. So
Ten
Thursday,
Commandments was
Saturday.
on
And by the
CBS.
way, Western Michigan wins. They were a wagon this year. A down year for the NCHC, and half the Frozen Four is from that conference. And also, here's another thing. You get all agitated at the Bruins. Remember when Big Ten hockey came aboard and they took teams from the WCHA and the CCHA and they were going to ruin college hockey and the Big Ten was going to be a beast? I don't know if you checked the big board or not, but I believe that the Big Ten has 0 national championships while the NCHC continues to clean up, and that's the league that includes Omaha. So they win another national championship on Saturday night. But why is that?
Yeah.
Why are they not playing the championship game tonight? It'd be a standalone. There's really nothing going on the day after the Masters.
We would watch.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else is playing Saturday, Monday championships. Why can't college hockey go to a Saturday, Monday?
I mean, it's also great, too, because if there's nothing on and you just turn that game on, hockey, in my opinion, has always been a sport where even if you don't fully understand what is happening, you still are entertained by it, right? And, that is...
I watched some Avalanche Ducks last night after baseball.
I mean,
Just because it was on.
Because it's on. It's a great... I think hockey is one of the best.
They did not promote that game at all.
No. They don't promote anything.
There's hockey.
I mean, Ravage goes, and now we're off to hockey. And they basically, they drove down the 5 to the Honda Center to go see the Ducks play.
The only time I see ESPN promoting is that they have a quick 15-second commercial. And it's like, hey, here's who's playing tonight. They don't give you any reason to tune in. They don't tell you any of the stakes. They don't tell you why you should watch. They don't put any of these guys, any of these superstars' faces or anything.
Let's compare Ovi to LeBron.
Anything like, oh, yeah. Well, that's PK Subban was on a really good run, and now he's kind of fallen off a little bit.
But this would be where the college hockey caretakers would say, you know what? We want to grow our sport.
The next generation.
I mean,
no.
A Monday night standalone national championship game on ESPN for Western Michigan and BU.
The Four Nations took off because it was the only thing that was really going on.
And
because there wasn't a lot to watch during that time.
Red, white, and blue, and the fact that we are going to acquire Canada for a country to be named later.
Yes, but along with that, the fact that there wasn't any football or there wasn't any massive basketball games or anything like that, that it was mainly just the only show in town and there were stakes there. That's why people watched it. I'm not saying that you're going to pop 2 or 3 million for an NCAA national championship game tonight, but any opportunity that hockey can take to get new eyes on the product needs to be done, because I firmly believe that every time that hockey is on and you can get it in front of a large audience of new eyes, you'll gain fans, because it's just such a great sport in terms of the action to watch, even if you don't really know what's going on.
That's how it got me in '94. I'm being serious. Hockey was hot that year.
No, I mean, it's just one of those things where if it's Kazan, even if you don't know the players or anything like that, you see a bunch of these grown men flying around, going 20 miles an hour, hitting each other, throwing this disc around ice. It's absolutely barbaric, but it's also entertaining. Like, it's, people can get captivated by it. But like you said, I mean, this would be a great night to do it, and they didn't do it.
All right, Evan Bland going to join us before the hour is over. I'm Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. Cody has a question about your hat choice today.
Yep.
Oh, you're taking it today on that.
Yeah, I'll respond eventually. I'm wearing a Yankees hat.
You're a Cubs fan, correct?
I am, yeah.
No, I can
Big
vouch
Cubs fan.
he is a Cubs fan.
Big Cubs fan.
Okay, but why are we wearing a Yankee hat?
I took 2 or 3 from the champs.
I collect hats. I'm a big hat collector.
He has a great collection.
I have about, I think we're at like 22, 23 right now.
Okay.
We haven't hung them up. I'm actually planning on doing that this coming week of hanging all the hats up. But
shout out to your Expos hat.
They're kind of just in a pile right now. And I decided today, like, probably need to put a hat on. So I just kind of grabbed from the pile and grabbed the Yankees hat and went on my way. I wasn't really putting a whole lot of thought into what hat I decided to wear.
Cody says you wear it at least 3 times a week. He's upset at me that I not recognized it earlier.
That's not true.
You need a hat like PCA's
that
parents
is absolutely
hat on.
not true. I wear a plethora of different. I try and wear a different
but
hat.
Why a hat from a team that is not yours?
So 47 does these 50% off hats, and they're called mystery box items.
Okay.
So if you order in a mystery box, it's 50% off, but you don't pick what hat you get.
Okay.
So this is one of the hats that was given in the mystery box.
So you just wear the hat.
I just wear the hat.
You wear the hat even though it is a team that you don't root for.
Absolutely. It's a hat. I don't think look, now, if I went to a Cubs game and I was wearing a Yankee hat, yes, that is a major problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if I was going to if we were going to a bar and we were going to watch the Cubs at the bar and I was wearing a different team's hat, yes, 1,000,000%.
What if you got a big block I hat for Iowa and it looked cool? Would you wear that hat?
No, absolutely not, because I can't stand Iowa. I don't wear rivals. So I have
the Yankees are a rival.
The Yankees and Cubs played in the World Series.
Yankees and Cubs are not rivals. I do not see the Yankees as rivals. I see the Cardinals and the Brewers, and to a certain extent.
So how many other Major League Baseball team hats do you wear?
This one, I have an Oakland A's hat. I have a Detroit Tigers hat. I have a Montreal Expos hat. I have a Chicago Cubs hat. Back home in Chicago, I had an Atlanta Braves and a Kansas City Royals hat. So quite a few. I have quite my collection is
those 2 hats represent the next
there.
show.
So now I'll tell you this right now.
I don't think I would ever see Odson or Connor wear.
I'm not Odson or Connor. We don't have to compare me to those two. I'm not. They float.
Connor
they
wearing
can
the
do
Twins
whatever the hell
hat.
they want. Float your boat however you want. Look,
so you just wear a hat if it's cool.
Yes, I like hats. I buy hats. My hair is receding, and so I kind of have to.
You have a beautiful head of hair.
I have to hide my receding hairline from time to time, and sometimes it just looks like an absolute mess. So I just grab a hat in the morning and I put it on, and I don't care what team is on there.
Okay.
If you choose to be offended by it, which I'm not saying you are, but if you choose to be offended by it, then that's your choice.
I don't own. There's only 3 Major League Baseball teams hats that I own.
The Rays, the Cubs, and the Twins.
The Rays.
Because you were in Tampa Bay for a little bit, in that area.
No, but I was not a no. My dad worked for the New York Mets for 35 years, and I was never a Mets fan.
What 3 hats do you own?
So I own a plethora of Cubs hats because I work for the Twins, and I still follow the Twins. I have Twins hats, and then I have like a couple of Royals hats.
Oh,
but I would never. There's no other teams that I would get.
Why? Just because you feel like you're
betraying? Because I root for the Cubs.
But why? But why does
I got
that
Astros,
stop
Royals,
you?
and Expos.
What if you just need to put on a hat?
So if I go out in public and I'm wearing a Yankee hat and I run into a Yankee fan, they're gonna be like, "Hey, it sucks that we lost 2 or 3 to the Giants, but man, we got the Royals coming in." No,
I have never.
How about that, Dave Winfield?
Given me the breakdown of another team.
Hats generate conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I just look, okay. So you are going to golf.
You just have no loyalty.
No, that's
the
not
difference.
true at all. That's absolutely not true.
No, if you were loyal
I
to your
have
team,
bad
you would
hair.
not wear...
I need to wear a hat for my hair. I don't want to wear the same hat every single day because I only own 1 Cubs hat right now. And so I need to switch up the hats that I wear. If you were in your car and you were going golfing.
I would grab like a golf hat.
Okay. And you only had 1 hat in the car. You forgot your hat. You only have 1 hat in the car. It's a Kansas City Royals hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be really bad if you weren't wearing a hat out of the golf course.
I'd wear a
today.
Royals hat.
You would wear it.
You get
there you go. That's the point.
It makes sense.
That's the exact
Save
point.
this for the crossover. This is a good crossover topic.
I don't understand
the
sensitivity of. I mean, the Cubs aren't wiping their tears or sad or anything because I'm wearing a different team's hat. I'm just wearing a hat.
Like if you were out in Wrigleyville and it was just a normal day.
Hell no.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not. Would never do that.
All right.
Not in Wrigleyville.
So you don't treat the show like Wrigleyville. I'm very, very sad.
If I treated the show like Wrigleyville, I'll be drunk right now trying to flirt with a girl and then get denied 3 minutes later.
Where are these girls?
I mean, we'd be up on
It's
a
just us
rooftop
two.
in about 15 minutes if we were treating this like Wrigleyville.
You can get on the
I
roof.
mean,
here.
hell, we'd be like 4 Jack and Diets deep if this was Wrigleyville. Maybe we should turn the show into Wrigleyville.
No, I don't think we
We'll
will.
put a little ivy right here,
No,
decorate
because
it.
if you urinate in
You know
here,
what?
it's not getting clean.
Yeah,
It's
let's put a
just gonna
trough
stay-
in here.
Oh god,
That'd be awesome.
it already smells enough during the summer.
Troughs build character, man. Fan bases
Not
are
arguing
stronger.
that, but-
Fan bases are stronger when there's a trough involved. Scientific fact.
You can get troughs installed here in our bathroom.
You can deal with more as a fan if you're a troughed fan base, in my opinion. Two strongest fan bases I know, Nebraska and Cubs. What do they have? What do they both have?
Trying to think where we have troughs.
And it's not success in the 90s. They both don't have that.
Texas Stadium at urinals. So did the Hemisphere.
Marlins Park has a urinal.
Mm.
As a trough. Yeah.
Look, they go through a lot too. They're a tough fan base.
Yeah, they don't really have a fan base.
The Marlins?
Would you? Do you blame them? Do you blame them? Do you know yesterday Justin Steele got hurt and the amount of people that texted me, hey, let's go and get Sandy Alcantara. Like, do you know how
He
terrible?
texted me.
I know. I told you that. Do you know how like just terrible that has to be as a fan base to know that anytime a pitcher or a position player gets hurt, that people are talking about your players to poach from you because they know that you're not going to be serious or competitive or anything like that?
Oh, I know.
That's devastating.
I hear that from somebody that works in that front office.
Oh.
He's been really, really good for them. All right. So hopefully, Cody, that gives some clarification. on why
It's
you're
just a
wearing your
hat. You were a little bothered by it.
Well, because it's a hat of a major league team that you don't root for.
So I don't think so. If I wore an NBA hat and it was a different team, would you care? Or is this just a Major League Baseball thing?
It's just I don't wear a hat of a team that is a
It's
competitor.
just a
of mine.
hat. It's just I'm just covering
That's
up
true,
my
Gary.
hair.
If someone gave
I'm
me an Oklahoma
defending
City
against the
Thunder hat,
wind.
I'd throw it on Dodge.
It's
We
not a
have
message.
different like fandoms and loyalties and stuff.
I'm a loyal guy. I'm a loyal. You cannot. You
Sitting here as a
cannot.
Cubs fan wearing a Yankee hat.
Okay, you cannot.
Unless you were
question.
like, if you were related to Rizzo, I would get it. You'd be like, oh man.
That'd be so cool if
Danny
I was related to
Tartabull.
Anthony Rizzo.
Uh,
I'd be
Ev-
taller. I'd have curly hair. I'd be everything I want to be.
Evan Bland from the World Herald, who I've never seen wear a hat. He'll join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, tomorrow night, Nebraska and Creighton downtown. Only trip for Nebraska to play Creighton in Omaha. Evan Bland will be there. We're going to try and figure out what happened in Iowa City this weekend. Plus, we'll talk some football as we welcome in Evan from the World Herald. Good morning.
Morning, guys.
So where do we start on this weekend in Iowa City? Weather looked great. The crowds were great. The baseball at times was good. Then it was sloppy, and the one sloppiest game, Nebraska wins yesterday.
Yeah.
How was this weekend, in your view, for Nebraska baseball, who now stands out of the 12th spot to go to Omaha in the Big Ten tournament right now?
It was, it was ambiguous, I think. Like, the bottom line is they lost another series, and you blow a lead in the 8th inning on Saturday when you feel like you had it. But, they were toe-to-toe with Iowa in every game. It was a one-run game into the 8th inning every time out. I mean, you can certainly argue Nebraska played better on Friday. The only runner Iowa even put into scoring position was the solo home run, but Nebraska gets shut out. And then Saturday they have the late lead and they blow it, and then Sunday they come back and overcome a bunch of errors and find a way to salvage a game of the series. So it's not the result you want. You felt like you probably played well enough to win the series, but I think it also, you look ahead at the remaining schedule, and it's mostly teams in the middle or toward the bottom of the pack in the Big Ten standings. So I think it sort of represented one of the last, big Big Ten teams that they faced to this point. And if you can play the way that you did in Iowa City into these future weeks, you should be winning series. You would think. You got Tucker Timmerman back. Your offense, Friday notwithstanding, did okay. I think it did well enough that you could feel good about that. You need some more your bullpen pieces back, but I think still the one thing that you can't fix has been the starting pitching, and you just continually, when you can't get through 5 any Saturday or any Sunday, it puts so much pressure on your bullpen, and I think that's the thing that Nebraska, it just kind of is what it is at this point. You hope Will Walsh gives you a good Friday. You're probably going to get 3 or 4 out of your Saturday and Sunday guys, and then you just need the bullpen and the offense to make up for the rest of it.
So you have 5 series left in the Big Ten. This upcoming one against Northwestern at home. The Huskers are in 15th right now in the Big Ten. Northwestern is in 11th place. They're 2 games behind the Wildcats. Evan, would you call this series against Northwestern upcoming a must sweep?
Obviously you'd love to do that. I don't know that you need to quite go that dramatic. If you go whatever it would be, 14-4 or something over the remaining stretch of games, you'd be where you want to be. You're almost to the point. We're not quite there. You're almost to the point where you're going to have to just remove the at-large conversation entirely. History would tell you that there's still a little time if Nebraska were to go on a run that they could get in that conversation, but you drop another series or 2, and then it really just totally becomes, hey, finish in the top 12, get to Omaha, be that team that nobody wants to play because they have a bunch of guys who did it last year, and they're that team that hasn't really realized its potential yet. But yeah, I think Northwestern, at the minimum, you got to win the series for sure. If you can sweep that, then you're back in that conversation for top 12. And, again, you have a manageable schedule coming up. You're done with the West Coast teams. Most of the teams at the top of the standings, you either played or you miss on the unbalanced schedule this year. And so you got to start winning series. Fridays are going to be imperative with the way that Will Walsh has been and what he's done for you. And then your offense and the bullpen's probably going to have to come through for you on some of those Saturday or Sundays. So we're getting to that point, not quite there, but yes, you got to win that series next weekend.
You think at large is still in play?
Well, I think it's realistic in the sense that where they are from an RPI perspective, teams in the Big Ten have made up that ground before. Indiana was an example last year where they had a hot second half. They were right around a 100 RPI team. They came back. Purdue in 2018 was another example. There are probably 4 or 5 examples since Nebraska's been in the league where you can do that. Now, I'm not saying Nebraska will do that, but I think it's possible, and the schedule sets up to where it's possible too. There have been times when the Big Ten's been weaker, 7, 8, 9 years ago, when you could close on a hot stretch, but you weren't playing anybody of any real caliber, and it didn't matter. But you look at Nebraska's schedule, and pretty much everybody's in the top 150 or so in terms of RPI, and some of those are on the road, which add more weight. So yeah, I mean, kind of that number I threw out. If you go 14-4-ish on your remaining league schedule, like that puts you in the conversation. Now, again, I don't know that Nebraska has it in it to do that because of some of its limitations and injuries and ineffectiveness and things that it's working through. But I don't think you're to the point yet where you can totally rule out this team going on some kind of a hot streak.
They still are 78 after that weekend in the RPI.
Yeah.
Max Budenbach has had an incredible run here over the last couple of weeks. What have you seen differently from him, Evan, compared to earlier in the year?
Yeah, he's been, he's kind of emblematic a little bit of Nebraska's season. I mean, game 1 of the year, he's in the 2 spot. They loved what he did in the fall, had a great summer, got off to a cold start. And then I think he had 3 total starts in the month of March where Nebraska gave other guys chances. And he came off the bench a couple times, had a couple pinch hit home runs, so had a couple moments still anyway. And then sort of cycled back through, proved it in his limited ABs, and now he's back in there near the top of the order. And just a guy with a lot of loud contact. I mean, that lefty bat, he just smashed those balls to right. Did it again multiple times against Iowa this weekend. Was a big reason why Nebraska beat Kansas last Tuesday. Just a guy, former football player, and you talk about like baseball players playing physical. Like he's a guy who just plays physical. He's going to hit that ball hard. He's not afraid of kind of going the extra base, making a little contact with a fielder if he has to, that kind of thing. He's kind of that guy that I would have pointed to before the year is like he's the one of those guys who's going to push the veterans for a spot just because of what he's done, and he's done more than that. I mean, now he's secured an everyday role, and I think he's deserved it. He's had some big moments for this team, and we've kind of talked before the season like this lineup needed a slugger, someone who can provide some instant offense, and it looked like that would be maybe Cale Frost and Gabe Swanson. But I think as much as anyone, it's been Max Budenbach, and he's had some big power swings, and I think he's going to have to continue to be a catalyst for what they want to do if they're going to close this season in a hot way.
Hey, let's shift over to football. So they have not a plethora of 11-on-11 in their scrimmage the other day, but it's the most extensive that they've had, and it's one of the rare opportunities that they'll have to play full 11-on-11 in the spring. But one of the things that was said afterwards, and I bypassed Coach Rule saying, I like this team, because you can say that in the spring, you said it last year, results are on the field. But the thing that caught my ear was he talked about this a lot in his first offseason going into the start of the season about how they instill physical toughness. And I've never thought of the 2 years under Matt Rule's team that they're a soft team. But what was your reaction when he really leaned into it and he kind of got a little excited when he said we not only look like a physical team, but we're acting like a physical team. So I imagine that the way they're practicing is a pretty good sign that they're practicing physical so that they can continue that mindset and be physical in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly been one of his defining characteristics. You look at his teams in the past, and like that was always one of their big things was like even in pregame warmups, like they were going full contact, and opposing coaches and administrators would notice that. And I think it's harder to do that now. I think it's hard to do that at Nebraska sometimes with how well the players are treated. And he and Coach Holgerson both made mention to that again too. But I think it's a trait that he's always valued. And now you don't really know until you get into this kind of a spring setting with a new team what those traits are like. I mean, you've gone through the mat drills, you know who some of your returners are and what they're all about, but you still have 15 transfers that are still part of your program that you're seeing doing work for the first time. You still have early enrollees and younger guys who kind of been on the rise. And so you probably have a sense that they're tough and they're going to do the work. But like, until you go out and see it in a scrimmage, I think that's the thing that really can. I mean, that was, like you said, it was just their first chance to see that kind of simulated live contact since the Pinstripe Bowl. Yeah. And so I think there's a level of excitement there to say, okay, we thought they were tough, and now we have gone out and we've seen that. Guys that are back or maybe continuing to do that, and then again, the newcomers have been integrated in that way, and like that's just a way that they're going to play. Like there are so many ways that Matt Rule has, I think, had to adapt to college football since he's come back from the NFL. But I think one of the common threads that does remain is that toughness piece. And you can, I think you have to recruit to that. I think you can build it up a little bit with how you practice and go about your business. But I think the offensive line sets the tone on that side, and they have a physical veteran group back, and defensively, like you didn't really know. I mean, you have a young linebacker back in Vincent Shavers, but that's a new looking group. You've got a guy like Javen Wright, who was game days only last year as he was coming back. You have a reset defensive line. Like, I think you could absolutely state a case for why you'd be wondering, right? Or at least be, nervous about what that would look like. So I think there was as much probably relief and excitement in those comments as about as what you can get here for a scrimmage in April.
You asked Dana Holgorsen about the transfer portal, and it elicited a pretty funny response from the offensive coordinator. But I was wondering, if at all, what do you think that this team should address in the spring transfer portal?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, I think the areas that fans generally think that they could upgrade, and I think of like running back and tight end, for example, like those are spots that Nebraska never brought anybody in that we're aware of in the winter free agent period. Like, no, they didn't bring anybody even in to check them out. So I'll be fascinated to see if that continues to be the case. I think by all accounts, it probably will continue to be the case. I mean, what they brought in were a lot of linemen on the offensive side and the defensive side. They brought in linebackers. They brought in receivers. So maybe you could, make the case that Nebraska will go after a receiver with the dismissal of Hardly Gilmore. I guess that's a possibility depending on who's in there. But I think you also have to factor in what you've seen in the spring. And they've seen true freshmen early enrollees like Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey really impress. And Holgorsen comes out and just says it. Yeah, they're going to be contributors in the fall. So maybe you don't feel like you need that other transfer at that spot. If you want to go after a lineman, which I think they could, everybody's going to be doing that. And everybody's going to be doing it in that last sort of mad dash before this thing becomes more regulated, assuming the settlement gets approved this week or next. So, I mean, I think I take Matt Rule at his word when he says they're not going to be active shoppers in the portal. If something comes up, you take a look at it, you bring a guy in if it makes sense. But I think to me, it's the departures are just as fascinating because you still don't know exactly that you're going to have to be down to 105 by the fall. That part appears to be somewhat in question after, the federal judge says, hey, maybe we can grandfather these players in. And so I'm fascinated to see, and I wrote about this weekend, like if you're on the fringe of the 105, do you risk staying knowing that you might end up being cut in the fall with nowhere to go? Or do you leave now to find a place only to find out you could have stayed and been a part of Nebraska? So like there's some really tough decisions that are going to have to be made because that settlement and the rules for next season aren't yet in place.
Let me, and we'll get you out on this. Let me go back to running back because that's Matt and I had a really good discussion last week about running back and what that depth chart looks like. I don't like that Parker is on the we got to get in shape bike at practice. Okay, that's his body went from 175 to 190, and it doesn't look like it's all muscle. So he was a guy that they think they're counting on. If there was a running back available, Evan, what do you think the profile would look like that Nebraska would go down that road? Would it have to be a one-year guy? Would it be a multi-year guy? Would it have to be somebody that is not Emmett Johnson but is close to Emmett Johnson? What do you think a running back, if Nebraska was thinking that way, what kind of a running back in the portal that had mutual interest would Nebraska go,
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you feel good about Emmett's versatility. I guess to me it would probably be somebody who can fill the Dante Dowdell role a little bit, and they laid out that Quentin Ives has been doing that. I don't know if that's his natural strength. He's a bigger bodied guy, but like if you can find sort of that short yardage hammer, I think you take a look at that. Maybe it's hard for me to say as someone who's seen a handful of open practices where guys are doing individual drills. So it's like it's one of those examples where like we've barely seen Quentin Ives, we haven't seen Mackay Nelson. Parker has, as you mentioned, has been sort of rehabbing and getting into shape. We've seen what Connor Booth can do at Wahoo Newman, but he's kind of on the heel as well, and somebody who's adjusting to the college level. So I think that's probably what you look for, is that guy you feel good about in the red zone, or the guy you feel good about on 3rd and 2, being able to squeeze through. In terms of eligibility, like sure, it'd be nice to have a guy who could be with your program for multiple years, but I don't know that that's as much of a priority in the portal era, when guys come and go anyway after a year, depending on how things go. But I think if you had Emmett Johnson doing what he does, catching the ball, all down sort of back, and you had somebody that you could swap in on that 3rd down, maybe it'll be Ives. I mean, maybe they feel so good about Ives that he'll take that role and run with it. He just really hasn't done it before. So I think that's what I'd look for, is maybe I don't know if you want to go with a bigger bodied guy, but somebody who's just a tough, sort of similar to the Dante Dowdell frame and role. That's probably what I'd be looking for.
It'll be interesting when it opens on Wednesday. I think it might be a little bit quiet, but your monitors, not buyers. And we don't need Nico.
Nope.
Evan, as always, appreciate it. We'll see you a lot this week with baseball in town. Thank you, as always, as joining us on Mondays.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Evan.
That's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. I like you want a percentage of roster if you're doing the portaling?
Sure.
I think 80-20 is the way to go. High school to portal in college football. 80% high school, 20% portal.
I would veer
I would
more,
be very comfortable with that scenario.
I would veer more on the side of 70-30. I think I'm more 70, just because I do kind of like the mercenaries a little bit. Like, I am a little bit more favorable for the 1-year guy. Hey, you've had a lot of production at the smaller school. We need you to quickly fill a role. I kind of like those dudes. Granted, I totally agree with you in the fact that at the end of the day, high school recruiting and that main development of those prospects from 18-year-olds to 22-year-olds and growing an older depth team is going to be important.
Rule likes the 2-year guys because you usually pop bigger in year 2.
I don't know,
but the exceptions are if they're a Dane Key or a Watson Trent.
Yes,
but he likes the 2-year guys, and sometimes you might get lucky and get a 3-year guy.
I wonder, though, with Dowdell entering the portal, if he has a different outlook on it, if that changed him at all. Because it seemed like Barthel was pretty hurt that Dowdell entered the portal during his presser.
All right, one more hour to go. Something or nothing burger around Nebraska football over the weekend. We'll get into that when we come back on 1620 The Zone. All right, now that the Masters are over and some of us begin our quest to join the lottery again in the summer and get that email of disappointment.
I have a prediction.
That I'm going to get it this year?
No. I'm going to enter the raffle this year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get it as a first-time entrant, and I'm going to make a lot of people mad. I'm going to make a lot of people not like me because I'm going to enter for the I just know my luck cuz I know a lot of people who enter and they're like, "Man, I've been doing it for years and years and years." Just knowing my luck, I'm going to enter for the first year and I'm going to get it. And then people are going to be like, "Damn you, I can't stand you." I just have feel in my bones it's going to happen.
So my streak is 12. There is a listener here in town who has won it twice.
Wow.
And he didn't win it until his 10th time. And then he won it twice in a span of 6 years. So he goes, it can happen. And I go, I got to study the algorithms. Like, when do I send it in? Like, per state.
Really?
I'm just.
When you fill it out, do you have to be in a certain position?
He goes, just luck. So I'm wondering now, what do you have a better chance of winning? The Masters lottery or lottery for Savannah Banana tickets?
Ooh.
The Savannah Bananas made a big announcement this morning.
That they're doing lottery for tickets?
No, they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
they're quite popular.
In Kansas City, a lot of people got shut out. Like upwards of like 40,000 people did not get selected in the lottery.
Do they play this at the smaller ballpark there? Or they play at Kauffman?
They're at the K now.
Oh, my God.
Well, they're everywhere. So
right.
They have been, they were back in Savannah over the weekend and Travis Hunter was with them. But they made a big announcement today. ESPN is going to broadcast 10 games this summer.
Oh, my
God. Out of Major League Baseball.
They'll have 2 games on ESPN. They will have 8 on ESPN2, and all 10 are on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus, which they already are on.
Get John Miller back in the booth?
I have completely...
I don't know. There's not a lot of people in organized baseball that want to attach themselves with the Savannah Bananas. It's just like, people that are in organized baseball, like the Storm Chasers don't want to deal with the Salt Dogs because the Salt Dogs is independent and it's got a bad connotation across baseball, even though they do a really, really good job. It's just, you're independent.
Right.
Yeah.
We're affiliated.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Major League Baseball people that don't want to attach the Savannah Bananas, but they are like behind the doors going, nice job. Nice job. You are doing stuff for our sport. And you are doing stuff in our stadiums that we wish we could do for the fan engagement. But 10 games on ESPN this summer.
That is massive.
That's a big deal. And now we need to wait. We'll sit and wait until November when they announce their world tour for 2026 and if it will include Omaha or Lincoln, Nebraska and Memorial Stadium.
I'm not a big, let me just throw this out there. I'm really not a big Savannah Bananas guy.
What is it about the person that sits in that chair that doesn't like them?
Let me tell you right now. The owner of the team, can you remind me of his name, please?
Jesse Cole.
Yes. I've seen multiple interviews of his.
He was on 60 Minutes last night.
He is
That's who that was. Okay.
So smart and so innovative. And I am a fan of his and what he's done with that team and with the sport. It's just not my cup of tea. All right. Mm-hmm. It's just not. I've tried to watch a game, the stilts guy and the dancing and everything like that. It's just not for me. All right. If you like it, great for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, awesome. Like, that's your entertainment. Look, I love pro wrestling. Some people think it's crazy, right? You have difference in opinion. I'm going to tell you something right now. I had no clue, no idea how big they are and how much they matter to a lot of people and how, like, it is a massive form of entertainment, especially for younger baseball fans. And that is great for baseball in general. So good for them. Good for them. Hell of an accomplishment. Keep growing the game. Like, that's something.
So what I've been told, I've never seen him in person, but I actually know Jesse, and then I know a couple of guys that work for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that you have to go experience it in person. Like, just watching it on TV or all the viral clips, you don't get the true feeling of how enormous this is. So you have to take it in one time. And then I'm not saying you're going to be hooked, but you'll get it. You'll get the appeal and why it's become the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
I'm curious.
Which is huge. They sold out Ray J. selling out the Clemson football stadium.
That's crazy.
They're sold
There has to
out
be something about it.
everywhere. When they go to Des Moines to Principal Park again, sold out. They're selling out the K. They're selling out major league stadiums. Yet they found a niche and they have been able to grow it. But I need to see it in person and then I'll understand it because I like what they're doing. I mean, I was in that world.
Sure.
And you got to think outside of the box. But I mean, Kyle Perry's having the time of his life.
Oh my God.
Playing for the Bananas.
I wonder what the ceiling is on all of that, though. Like, I wonder what.
I think maybe there's not a ceiling, but there's just
fun.
They're living in that atmosphere, and they're not going to drop below it. They're not going to go above it, and that's just what they do. But I will say the thing I do appreciate about them is they never. So every Monday morning, they get together, and it's New Idea Day. So they never,
that's cool.
So
yeah,
I've also heard Jesse speak, and every day, every show is not the same. So they're always changing the show. Wow. So you can't go like the Globetrotters.
You can't get bored.
The Globetrotters are like the same thing every time.
They are.
They have a couple of their benchmarks, but every banana show is different. So if you went last year to Des Moines and you think, okay, I know they're going to do this, this, and this, they're going to do a couple of their key things, but it'll be the skits, the songs, all that stuff.
Sure.
There's something new. So they try, I think he said 4 to 5 different things every single night they're out there.
That's impressive.
Because they have new people and they have returning people.
I think now
they're going to be on ESPN.
Another thing too that you think about is like because I've seen these interviews and he is very aggressive and creative and he wants to expand this thing. I wonder, like, I think it's just the Savannah Bananas, and I think the Savannah Bananas are just, like you said, the Harlem Globetrotters of basketball, and they're going to go around and they're going to play these games. But I do wonder if, like, maybe they try building up another team and maybe building up another team and maybe make it like a 4-team league.
Well, don't they have 3 teams going right now? So it's the Bananas and the Party Animals, and then they have another team that they've created. They're all together. They're not like, it's like, Hamilton on Broadway and then Hamilton at the Orpheum.
Sure. But it's a good way of putting it. But it's like, I just wonder if, like, I don't know. It's just such a incredible phenomenon that you could really call it, but it's so different and you've never seen it before. And it's taking something that has been pretty mundane in its history in baseball and making it the opposite. And I wonder if, like I said, what is the ceiling? I wonder, maybe the ceiling is just they go from town to town and they go from stadium to stadium and this is what they do and it's something you experience. Or it's like they really make it like they kind of ground it a little bit and make it like a league. Like I would just love to know where are they in 10 years? Because the fact that you have to enter a raffle is wild.
Wait till they show up at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. I think we're still a few years away, but I know there's interest. And now with a Nebraska player and a Nebraskan on the Savannah Bananas roster.
Oh, and I'm sure KP is, telling those guys how incredible it would be to play there. And
Storm Chasers had some interest, and I don't know the dates because they have soccer matched up.
Sure.
I don't know why Mecca has never made a serious run at getting the Bananas down at the Chai.
That would be something.
Or at the Chuck.
Yeah. That'd be incredible. I would go. I said, not my cup of tea, but I would go if they were in Omaha.
I wish, though, that they would give credit to the Fort Myers Miracle for finding Dakota. So Dakota is the person that's on stilts.
Oh, okay. You found him? How did you find him?
Because he lives in Southwest Florida.
Were you the one who found him?
He came to every opening night.
And were you part of the recommendation party, the Savannah Bananas?
No, we had him. So
you tell Jesse, hey, I got a guy for you.
Quick story on this kid. He's not a kid. He's a guy.
He's a man.
Adult. He's an adult.
An adult human.
He has been involved in like street shows and things like that. But his whole thing is being on stilts. And so he's 10'9", and he
play the five
because we did weird stuff. He approached us and he said, hey, I got this act.
Okay.
And we were like, what? Like, how is that going to benefit us? What can we do with this? And then we thought, okay. So he would come to opening night every year in Fort Myers.
And would he walk around?
Yep, he'd walk.
Okay.
So he walked upstairs, which blew me away. He would greet fans. Like, kids loved him.
Yeah.
And then he would go then he would take off his legs.
Whoa.
He would go through the tunnel into the
Diabetic
dugout,
trip.
and then in the dugout, he'd put his legs back on, and then he'd climb up the stairs, and he'd go out and he'd throw a first pitch. It was like, I was like, oh my God, that's a talent.
Wow.
That is, dude, I've seen him run the bases.
Yeah.
Like, I get a little like nervous watching him run. A little, like I'm afraid that he's gonna like break an ankle or break a stilt, if you will, which then will cause him to fall down and probably break a lot of bones in the body.
So one of the things that he told us was, like a lot of people don't do stilts these days. And he said,
stilts are out.
He said,
Yeah.
when you live in Florida, when you grow up in Florida, you have the circus. Okay, Ringling Barnum and Bailey is in Florida. It's the clown college, the circus up in Sarasota. And he said, I went to a circus, and walking on stilts was a big thing in the circus.
Sure.
Like with the clowns.
Yeah.
When they start the circus and they'd have the parade of all the entertainers.
Oh, yeah.
You would see people on stilts. And so he got this idea. And so what did he do for a living? He was like a bartender or something.
That's a good party trick.
I mean, this is
Oh, should have said
this
it.
is
He
like
sold
this is
insurance.
like 15 years ago. And so he thought that he could join the circus. And so he learned to walk on stilts. And I don't think they brought him back after I left the Miracle. And then I saw him like 4 years ago and on TV, and I'm like, that is the code. So,
You're like, that's the guy.
But
You're like the Leonardo DiCaprio
over there. Pulling that screen. Like that you knew that guy.
Well, we only paid him $150. I think he's probably making a little bit.
You know what?
For the bananas.
I admire Dakota because to be sitting at a circus to be like, you know what? I want to be like that. And everybody calls you. I mean, look at some of our greatest insults in society. Aren't there? A lot of them are circus based, right? Like you're a circus monkey, or you're a clown, you're an animal, or like we have a lot of circus based insults. For him to sit down, look at a circus and be like, you know what? I want to do one day, Gary Sharp. I want to be like that guy. I admire that.
I see Big Top Pee-wee. They look like they live a good life.
Well,
what would you be in the circus? What would you do in the circus, Jimmy Chavez? If you're in the circus,
Whoever pays the most.
fair enough.
I have no idea. I gotta go back and watch Big Top Pee-wee.
I'm out on circuses because I went to a parking lot circus here in Omaha about 5 years.
That's the start. That's the start to every great
It was the
story.
year before COVID, and
That's what probably caused it.
Aside from the animals and what they do with the animals, the same family was in the 4 acts, and they were the Henriquezes. Then the next act, they were the Fernandezes, and then there were like the Johnsons, and then they were like the Albuquerqueans.
I get all the races.
They were the same family, and they would announce them as a different name, and I'm like, hold on.
Great.
Hold on. There's 6 of you, and you were just in the act where you were walking on the
It's a
tightrope.
different family.
Their name isn't Brickowski.
You don't know that. That could be a circus act. They have 4 different families that all look the same.
I had a good seat, and I could see. And all they did is they went in the back, they changed their outfits, and they came back and they did a different thing with a different name. And I'm like, I'm out on circuses.
You should like walk.
I don't
up.
care what you do with the elephants and the animals and everything. I'm out because you tried to pull a fast one on me with a family that was doing 4 acts.
You should walk up to one of the like little kids and just whisper to them, "I know what you're trying to pull.
We don't
It's
have
not going to work on me."
We don't have the circus has been scaled way back. It went away for a little bit. Now it's starting to come back a little bit.
We get one in our parking lot.
We don't get the circus parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
The circus would just pull up and they would do like 4 days in a large parking lot in a city.
Ooh.
So we had a field day for my grade school, and it was a circus field day. They like brought out, it was this like place.
They came to you?
It was this, it was this
Wow.
company where you can they brought all this circus stuff, and like we put on a circus, and everybody had to have a skill. And so a lot of kids went on the trapeze and did the trapeze or whatever.
That'd be cool.
I had the blocks. I was the block, like you like
blocks.
juggling blocks. Like it was pretty cool. It was a fun time. I get really nervous though at circuses with the whole, when they put them in the big dome, that steel dome, and then they have the motorcycles go through it. Like I am on the edge of my seat having a panic attack watching these guys go in motorcycles in this iron dome. I mean, it freaks me out. My biggest fear, one of my bigger fears in life is I'm going to go to a circus and I'm going to see them crash and die. in that Iron Dome.
You can watch that on the freeway.
Isn't
every
that the
day.
thrill, though, of going to a circus? You might see somebody get eaten or die.
I don't know. I mean, like
Thrill of
with
victory,
with the
agony of defeat.
lion, with the lion, I get it. Like I get the thrill with the lions and the tigers and the bears and everything.
Oh my!
But like the Iron Dome, like I don't know. That's too much risk for me. I don't want to see that carnage.
Be kind of cool.
If the lion kind of nipped at the tamer, like if he kind of bit him, like if he got him a little bit, like I'd be fine with
You
that.
wouldn't be rooting for the lion.
Ed says
I kinda do root for the
Cirque
lion.
du Soleil killed the circus.
Well, Cirque du
Maybe
Soleil-
also
Cirque-
PETA.
Yes. Nah. Cirque du Soleil is a whole different thing, though. That's not even the circus. Cirque du Soleil is just, trapeze spiced up a little. Just a little spicier
You know
trapeze.
what happens at the circus?
What happens at the circus? Does it stay at the circus?
Sometimes when you do interviews, it does not stay where you want it to stay. We'll get into that when we come back on 1620 The Zone. All right. It is the off season of football. We all understand that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We also need to stop calling the spring game the spring game. Maybe call it the showcase, the get together, whatever you want to call it.
Brouhaha.
The powwow.
Nanny.
Well, because so.
Did you watch any Ohio State spring game?
Yes,
by the way,
I did.
this
I watched
weekend?
a little bit of it.
I knew you would.
Well, because
It was
I was
on.
interested. The Kleinholz from South Dakota. I was like, okay, I want to see this. They have. I don't think Sayan is like the slam dunk. He's going to be the starter. They got some options. But here's the other thing they have.
Dudes.
Well,
Jeremiah Smith.
Jeremiah Smith would be the number one overall pick in this year's draft.
Easily.
He's just he looks better than he did last year as a freshman. So I watched a little bit of that. but there were a lot of pictures shared of spring games that didn't have a lot of bodies in the seats. Like if you would have, like, let's say you've been in a coma for 15 years, but when you went into that coma, you love college football.
Sure.
And college football had a spring game and they had a February signing period, and those were things you look forward to. And you wake up now and you're like, what is that? What is this? Where did February go?
What is the portal?
Why do we spend so much time talking about the portal?
Where's the Pac-10?
Why is our season ending on January 25th?
But Alabama had A Day. Georgia has G Day. And Georgia's attendance was pretty good. Alabama's was not very good at all. And it wasn't, and neither one of them really played like a true spring game.
Mm-hmm.
So we need
Tennessee's
to stop.
Was terrible.
We need to stop with the names. And they have never really drawn well.
No.
They always have like maybe 8,000. And it was even worse. So it got me to think.
Really bad.
Because I haven't seen this. And usually it's Callahan that'll bother the ticket office and he'll get a number of tickets that's sold. I've seen nothing on how many tickets have been sold for the Husker games, which are a week from this upcoming Saturday.
Well,
like what's the,
can I be honest with you?
What about 30,000, you think? 30 to 40,000 will be here in 2 weeks?
Can I be honest with you? I think they've done a pretty poor job like marketing it. At least I haven't really seen it. I haven't. Okay. It came out, it got announced. Here are the Husker games. Here's what we're going to have, right? We're going to have this garage sale, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. Then it kind of went dark. Like it's kind of gone dark and we haven't heard a whole lot about it other than the fact that, hey, it's going on and this is what it's going to be. And with the original email, but the only other real update we got about it was, hey, here's where here are some things we thought of that weren't going to happen. And here's what Matt Rule liked. But outside of that, there hasn't been a lot of.
So they're doing advertising in Lincoln. I don't think they've done any advertising in Omaha.
Have they done digital advertising? Like, do you see it on Twitter? Do you see it on Instagram that there
are some
promoting it?
Ticket emails that you get that have it. But you're right. It has not been.
It just hasn't popped.
If they have a push this week, that means they haven't sold many tickets. But after they announced that Compton and Foreman would be doing the teams, there hasn't been a lot of info. So maybe 40,000 people on the 26th would be good.
Are we talking about numbers that we think are going to happen or numbers that we think are good?
Well, I think still 30 to 40. And unfortunately, it will be 30 to 40,000 people, and the majority will be within a couple of hours away from Lincoln. Because are you going to drive from Scottsbluff to come to Lincoln for this not being a true game? So I think
if they got 40 grand,
if they got to 40,000, that would be a big deal.
It would be impressive. I don't know. I just don't. I'll just say this. I haven't had anybody come up to me and say, "Hey, are you going to be here for this? Are you coming down for this event? Or what are we doing for it?" I haven't made any plans. Like for the spring game, we make plans and we're like, "Hey, we're going to be in this slot and we're doing this and we'll be, we'll be having this time." I've had nothing with that when it comes to the Husker games. And frankly, I think if there was this massive post or email, some people would have to be reminded, "Oh, hey, we're doing this. Sorry, this is in a week." It hasn't really been
sad. So now you guys won't get together.
Larry said on your sister station, Lincoln, there are advertisements that are running.
That's good. That's good. I mean, but still, it's not just Lincoln. You got to get people from other places, to come out. You need to do advertising in Omaha. They're people.
Tell the people.
I know. Well, exactly. People need to know that this is going on because it actually could be a fun event. When I've read this list and I've gone through it, I'm like, hey, this is actually something I might enjoy. It just hasn't been out there. And if this is a big deal, and if they're really trying to make some money off of it, because to make up for some of the lost revenue that you're going to have for the spring game, you would think they'd probably put more wheels behind it. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm not overly excited about it, though.
But you're going to the garage thing, right?
I am.
Okay.
But that's because I want to quarters it.
Right. That's okay. I'm live vicariously. Can't wait to hear.
Friend over at Husker Hounds, they probably got a discounted quarter zip.
I wonder if it's going to be discounted or not. Because if I go there and everything is like $130 or it's really expensive, I am going to be a little disappointed.
Inflation's tough right now.
I mean, this is all old stuff, so it should be marked down a little bit.
Eggs.
You're probably not going to hear this very many places today, but I'm going to give it to you. Former Husker defensive end James Williams and Rocco Spindler are saying the same thing. So over the weekend, there's a lot to break down here. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is not something to waste your day on.
Thank you.
So James,
Thank you.
So James Williams, who has an interesting story, and essentially Terrence Knighton is his football father.
Yes.
And James is not a really good interview subject, just because that's not his comfort zone. So he was on a podcast in Tallahassee, and the podcast is warchant.com, which is a popular website.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what family it's from. Rivals are on 3, but it is extremely popular. And so he was interviewed. Ironically, he has both his home and away Nebraska jerseys framed over his shoulder on his wall.
Too.
The person that was interviewing him, you suck.
Oh, baited him.
You are
baited him.
very, very bad at questions with a subject. So it's called the Student Athlete Series. So again, James is he's not great with interviews.
He's not.
But what happened
awful, but yeah,
he got asked about Florida State, and he talked about the size and talent upgrade from Nebraska to Florida State. Now, when Rocco Spindler got here, didn't we get excited when he talked about stuff was different at Nebraska?
Yes.
And Notre Dame had just played for the national championship, and we were like, yeah. Now
you're like, oh my God, we might have the makings.
Another player goes somewhere else and makes a comment, and I listened to the whole interview, and I didn't get it as a disrespect of I hate my time at Nebraska. It was, I'm now at Florida State. This is where I chose. I'm going to talk about Florida State. And it became, and I think because we're in the off season, people got a little upset.
Really offended by it.
At what James Williams said, but he's at a new place. He talked about the difference in Florida State's talent, size, and speed, that it was better than what he was being around at Lincoln. Thinking Rocco Spindler kind of said the same thing, and we went, GBR for life.
Yes.
So to me, it's a very much a nothing burger. But then we added a little fuel to the fire yesterday, because as this got out, people had some time on their hands. They're like, you know what? Stop. And granted, Nebraska needs to worry about Nebraska, and I'll worry about somebody that's still here instead of somebody that has moved on.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for your time. I hope Florida State is a better place for you, but you're not at Nebraska anymore, and Nebraska has to worry about Nebraska. Okay?
$1,000,000%. $1,000,000%. Got to win games.
Terrence Knighton goes to Twitter. And by the way, this has been viewed, his small tweet, 193,000 times.
Jeez.
James Williams can say what he wants just like everyone else. And people that respond and that were upset by this, you can say whatever, but don't lose sleep over this. He doesn't play here. And this is what ails at times either the product on the field, the product in the boardroom, or the product that sits in the stands, is we worry so much about what other people perceive about this program instead of taking care of yourself. Nebraska has to fix themselves before they can start to move out of the neighborhood. So James Williams got people talking. People went to War Chant. I imagine the numbers for this are
skyrocketed.
They're probably like, whoa, where did this come from?
I bet they're over there being like, holy crap, we had no clue that this interview with a defensive end who is probably going to get limited snaps and pass rushing scenarios got way higher of downloads and views that we were anticipating. Let me just say this, okay? Like, you choose
such a bad interviewer.
Oh my God, he was baiting him. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what answer he was going to get because
they work for a team site.
Well, because James had said that earlier, like when he first got to Florida State, he said, "Man, the athletes that Tony White's going to be able to work with are going to be incredible here at Florida State." He knew that comment. He was capitalizing on it. He knew that if James Williams doubled down on his comment, it would cause Nebraska Twitter to go, crazy, and they got all the views and page clicks and whatever they wanted. Here's the thing: I feel like this is a scenario where you can choose to be offended because James Williams said he didn't say Ty Robinson sucks. Yeah. He didn't say that Nebraska was terrible. He goes, Ty Robinson's going to be a second-round pick. He probably should be a first-round pick. He's a dog. It's just, hey, my team, we have really, really good athletes, right? What is he supposed to say? That his team is way worse than what they were coming from Nebraska? You choose to be offended to that, in my opinion. That guy played here at Nebraska. He went on his own way, whatever. Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn about what he says what he thinks? We should give a damn about what happens on the field.
This this shouldn't be more than a day's story.
It shouldn't even be.
Now, I know there's a video being shared of people that are irate at James Williams. Also, probably some people had not thought about James Williams until this weekend. They're like, "Oh yeah,
I remember that guy. He had a couple sacks this year. He'd pop up on my screen and be like, "Oh, he got a sack. All right, cool. Forgot he was out there."
So the Casey Thompson press conference is being shared in one of his first press conferences at Nebraska. He ended his press conference by saying, "I asked that reporters not ask me about Texas."
It was because that was his second presser, and in his first presser, he had talked about the talent they had at Nebraska, and Texas websites got really, really mad at him about it, and he didn't want to deal with that. So I was there. It was kind of startling. No one had ever seen that. He goes, "Don't ask me about my time at Texas."
Well, there was also another part. So Casey was a big brand guy. Like the brand was Casey Thompson. The brand needed to be Nebraska Casey Thompson, not Texas Casey Thompson.
Yeah. And then that's a whole other bag of worms and conversations to be had. But like when it comes to James Williams, like, man, you choose to care. I choose not to. I mean, just in general, he's off, he's away, he can say whatever he wants. It doesn't affect anybody back in Lincoln, doesn't affect anybody in Tallahassee. Who cares? Like, now, granted, if this was like a pretty formidable head coach, right? Like if this was a Hall of Fame college football head coach and he was saying, "Man, Florida, Nebraska's lacking in talent," or whatever, maybe you could buy it. This is just a guy who just got to his new team, who was on this podcast, on this team affiliated podcast, who's trying to make Florida State fans excited about their new defensive coordinator and what their defense is gonna look like. I don't buy anything into it, and you can choose however you want to react to it. To me, it's a nothing burger.
Let's see here. Do I want to read the replies?
Oh, the replies are funny. The replies. Did you see some replies on Jim Nantz? There was a Jim Nantz compliment, and the replies were Jim Nantz is awesome, Jim Nantz sucks, Jim Nantz is awesome, Jim Nantz sucks. It was absolutely incredible. Twitter is awesome.
Is it?
I love Twitter.
Cool question.
I love Twitter. I think Twitter's incredible. It's so crazy and so juvenile and so funny and so stupid. There's never a time I don't click on that app and don't laugh.
What did we think of Jim Nantz's call?
Rory's masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. Was he sick? Did he sound a little sick at times? He sounded a little raspy from point to point.
Yeah.
And like,
they're kind of quiet.
Yeah. There were moments where he didn't talk for a while too, which I know that's that's golf. Right, you're not like, it's not an auction. You're not talking 24/7. But like, I don't know. I wonder if he had like the flu, or I don't know. Maybe he was hanging out with the Houston Cougars too much and ended up getting something from Kelvin Sampson.
He had. I will say that he came loaded to Augusta National with his one-liners. He went deep into his bag yesterday on his one-liners that he had sitting there
because he misses out on them in March, so he has to get them out. There's a quota. Yeah.
There's a quota.
Yeah, it's just like tickets at the end of the month.
It's like a nervous tick.
CBS's presentation, which is always top notch when you're at Augusta because the pictures tell more of the story.
Oh.
And this comes from a pro's pro, is they let silence take over for 7 minutes.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Because you could have one thing that I would love to see, and maybe it's individual to a team sport. The line of champions that are waiting for you when you walk off 18, the greeting committee.
It is so nice.
There was only Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood. I think were the only two golfers that they showed on TV that were there to greet Rory.
Yeah.
Because most guys, when they're done, if they're not in the hunt, they're out. They get on their plane and they want to beat the traffic, and they're on to either Myrtle Beach or they're going home, or not Myrtle Beach, but Hilton Head, where the next stop is. But the greeting committee of former winners, when you walk off 18, they have that stupid thing in the Super Bowl where they walk the trophy through and players touch it and stuff, which is kind of. I
like that. By
I
the
think
way.
we should start that.
Anything.
I think when you win the national championship in college football and you're walking to the podium to accept the trophy, like there should be Kirby to shake your hand.
Who's representing Joe Pa?
Saban. There should be Dabo. There should be Tom Osborne.
Yeah,
there should be just a receiving line of champions as the coach walks up to the podium. How cool would that be?
It's like the end of
Big
Big
they
Fish.
would all hate that.
Like
they
Todd,
all couldn't stand that.
Like when Todd Golden walked to the podium in the middle of the floor a week ago tonight in San Antonio, there would be Jay Wright. And there would be Tom Izzo.
Bill Self. What's
there
up,
would be
stud?
Coach
Welcome
K.
to the club.
There would be Roy Williams. Bill Self would be there. Scott Drew would be there.
I could
Stop
never
stalking
ever
girls.
Imagine Dabo like shaking the hand of Kalen DeBoer, like he's walking through. He's just pissed off.
But that's what you do. You respect the sport. You're now part of the fraternity.
Mhm.
You've won a championship.
Rick Pitino?
Nolan
Richardson?
I think they would all absolutely hate that. I don't think any of those guys
There'd be a
would want to
couple that
do
would
that.
like it.
Absolutely not. They'd be like, get me on a plane. I got to recruit. They'd probably all be there and be like, hey, coach, I'm going to take your players. Like, seriously, how funny would that be? You're celebrating a national championship, and then
I'm going to take your players.
And then
What's
Dabo's
up,
tampering.
stud? Clayton Gundy?
Dabo's tampering with some of your guys while you're holding up the national championship trophy. Like, hey, we can pay you a couple $100,000 more if you come over, play for Clemson.
Maybe I can start this at the high school level.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so that
all
would
the
be
coaches.
good.
You're
High
walking-
school would be fun.
When you're walking to get your trophy or hand out the medals or whatever. Like all the coaches, like they come and shake your hand.
Some of the greats that have done it.
Like, this past year, Coach Heiser. Like Tim Cannon is there to shake his hand. Doug Woodard is there to shake his hand. How cool would that be?
Ryan Day's got to shake Sharon Moore's hand. Is he walking to accept the
But this
big
part of
blue
the
national
club. You're
championship?
part of it now.
Like, how about this? I mean, you'd watch if this was a thing, and in college football, when Ryan Day wins the national championship this past year in Atlanta,
He's got to shake Lou Holtz's hand.
National champion coach.
and there in the receiving line is Jim Harbaugh as well, and Lou Holtz. Okay,
Congratulations.
how cool would this be?
One of us.
You know what?
That's our Lou Holtz.
Hey, maybe
We have some better people to do
Maybe
it.
like
The Notre Dame football fighting Irish.
maybe like Spieth yesterday, walk into the hole, he gives a little cup check.
Oh, that was great.
That was his agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I knew he had to know him. The
Always
best
have
comment,
have the boys covered.
Someone commented like, "This has to be on purpose," and someone goes, "If this isn't on purpose, I don't want to see what on purpose looks like." Incredible, by the way, like the form, the flick of the wrist, like right there on check. We had a lot of good Masters moments. Shane Lowry just had an ultimate presser, being like, "I don't want to talk about Rory. Don't ask me about Rory. I'm trying to win the Masters." And then he shot an 81 the next day. And then, did you see Tommy Fleetwood's little boy in the interview
No.
that he had? So Tommy Fleetwood's got Frankie Fleetwood is his name. He's this
His
tiny,
name should have been Mac.
incredible
Fiddler.
hair. He's got a great golf swing, right? And shocker to nobody. And he was trying to hit the green on the par 3 challenge. He hit it into the water. And the BBC sports lady came and interviewed him.
Yeah.
And he is media trained. He is fully media trained. Like he was gave an incredible answer to it. Lowry and McElroy were with their kids and they see Frankie Fleetwood doing this. They started dying in the background. They go, "Tommy, you already put this kid through media training? Are you kidding me?" It was incredible. I'll show you the video.
You realize if Rory would have finished blowing that, well, we would have all been sad. But then he would have had to go get interviewed by Amanda Balloons or whatever. Wouldn't that have been awkward?
Ballions.
Yeah.
No, that would not have happened. They did not do as many interviews, I
No.
noticed this year. But here's the thing. If Rory would have lost,
Oh, he would have been
he
gone.
would have eclipsed any speeding record by a Georgia football player getting out of Georgia. That's what would have happened.
Scotty Scheffler, the
He would have
getaway
been
driver.
Gone. You know who was in, Bryson did a really good interview.
He did.
Justin Rose,
That's
who
right,
also has had these moments where he's come up. He shot 66. He had a great shot on 18 in the playoff.
Incredible.
And
Him and Hogan.
he handled it really well because look at the ISOs they had. I thought, and this is why CBS lets the pictures tell the whole story. One of my favorite things has become when they're on an opposite hole and they show the scoreboard changing and the
Yes.
reaction. And they started to do that yesterday because you had those wild swings of Rory and what Justin Rose were doing. But look at the different shots that they had on 18 on the winning putt by Rory. They not only had all the Rory stuff when he collapses, but they also kept a camera on Justin Rose. And Justin Rose was very stoic and handled it the right way. He didn't there was no reaction of, he just, he walked, he waited for Rory to have his moment. Then he walked over, He shook his hand, and he kept it going, and he was really good in the post. He might turn out to be one of the winners of this weekend because I think people are like, dang, 2 days, bad, 2 days good.
Yeah.
You would have won this tournament fairly
handily if you play better. Oh, easily.
But
easily.
the way he handled that moment.
I mean, he's great. He's classy.
And most people probably were rooting against him.
Do you know what's really funny? So he's been in 2 playoffs. He's lost both playoffs. Both times that he's lost, he's been like the ultimate villain because it's Sergio trying to win his first major, Rory trying to finally get the Masters. Couldn't do it either times.
Jimmy, has Rory McIlroy won more playoffs than the Dallas Cowboys?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, throw my team in there too.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll put
There's
a wrap
hope
on
for
this
your team.
Monday edition of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Hey, for everybody that would like a statewide tour of the Crown, was the picture that C.J. Wilcher tweeted out yesterday real?
Let me go and look.
That he was somewhere where the Crown trophy was? But speaking of the Crown, it was revealed over the weekend that if there's going to be a Crown banner at PBA, the athletic department will have to make that decision. There's no guarantee that there will be a Crown banner in PBA.
Do you put it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you put it up, and you put it up the same size as the NIT banner. Speaking of banners and trophies and all that, Ohio State will be at the White House today.
Yeah, is this was the open date for these last couple of weeks for the open date for everybody? Like everybody's going to the White House nowadays. I mean, you're never going to beat that 2019 LSU White House visit. I mean, that was absolutely
the Dallas
incredible.
Cowboys White House.
I mean, that is the coup de grace. What was the Dallas Cowboys White House?
Google it. It was a house. It was white. It was good for team building activities.
Okay. I figure. Okay. I think I'm following your footsteps here. But everybody's going. The Dodgers were there a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't the
North Dakota State was just there?
Yeah.
So for pro teams that are in their season, if they're playing in DC because the Dodgers were playing the Nats, it's convenient. I really wish I would have been able to get on the trip in '95 when they went and President Clinton was there.
Oh wow!
Because it was everybody that went on that trip to celebrate the Nebraska championship said what they showed them was like unbelievable. But it was like they were a limited party.
Sure.
But at 3:00 today, Ohio State is there. The other thing about Ohio State, and you asked if I watched their spring game.
Yeah, what'd you see?
Yeah, I saw their rings. So
nice.
What?
Oh, they got 3 of them. So can we explain here? Is it just one for every win? Because that's
10 fingers.
Can I be honest with you? That's kind of Mickey Mouse, in my opinion. You know?
So they've got one championship ring from Ohio State.
Okay.
They've got one that everybody gets from the college football playoff.
Okay.
And then everybody gets a ring for making the college football playoff. So the Ohio State ring
is nice.
But the championship one,
they're bland.
No, the championship one is the larger one.
Yeah.
The Ohio State one is just the O, is the way that Ryan Day was explaining it because they were showing off the bling. But here's the thing has this changed in that industry? Because like Omaha men's basketball, we are getting a ring.
Yes. Congrats.
But the turnaround, like like when you'd order your class ring back in the day.
Yeah.
And it would take like 4 or 5 months.
It'd take a while.
Ohio State won the championship in January. Then you've got to get the ring size of everybody. By the way, I did find out there is an app. So
there's a what?
Well, I just got a text one day of, hey, what's your ring size? And I'm like, huh? I thought we were just getting a watch.
Yeah.
No, we're getting a ring.
Oh, are you getting a watch too?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I was like, I got to go to a jeweler. Or they said, hey, come into my office because I've got the thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to drive to campus.
Sure.
So there is an app that you can download on your phone that will help you with your ring size.
That's genius. Do you know that's a thing nowadays? That like if you're going to propose to your girlfriend, I know multiple people who take the girlfriend ring shopping and like get the ring size and they like help pick out the ring. Doesn't that kind of ruin it a little bit? Like, shouldn't it be hey, this is on you.
Make sure you act surprised when we get that photographer to come hide in the bushes, take a picture of us.
Shock.
Like the woman already you got to think she kind of already knows when it's going to happen, right? It seems like they have some good intuition when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, and then when they don't know and you spring it on them, usually you end up on the cam at a sporting event and they run away.
Mm-hmm.
3-month turnaround though. And this thing opens up. I'm now seeing a video of it. It literally opens and it shows like, their field and everything. Like it's an impressive ring.
So what's going on in the ring industry that you can turn these around so quickly?
I think it's just because, so it's Joskin's, right? I mean, that's kind of like the main ring. I think they make those rings. That's the company. I think it's just, so for my class rings for high school, we could get a class ring that looked like a championship ring.
Of course.
Like we could get a championship ring model. Oh, seriously. So I think they've kind of just like not monopolized, but they've like engineered the industry where it's like they can get a pretty quick turnaround. They're becoming so popular that they understand how to make these rings. So I think it's advanced. I think it's taken massive steps. Everybody wants a ring nowadays.
My high school ring, I had them put a spur. Had nothing to do with my high school. Didn't even say anything about my high school.
I didn't get a class ring.
Just said 1999 NBA champions.
Did you get one for college?
No.
Okay, neither did I.
But if you meet anybody from Texas A&M, they will show you their ring.
Notre Dame.
See that Aggie ring?
That in Notre Dame. All those
Notre Dame has one.
Oh my God.
They play each other.
So everybody walking around with that blue, ruby on their pinky ring. I went to Notre Dame, and it's got like a gold N in the middle. ND.
When next time they come back here for the College World Series, you can tell a true Ag because they wear that ring and they are not afraid to tell you about that ring.
Big deal.
Damn Colt.
Yep.
All right.
My brother's best friend went to Texas A&M. I haven't seen him in years.
Great place to watch football game.
All right. Crossover is coming up next. We'll be back in tomorrow with happenings that are going on. If anything that's going on now, it might get quiet in sports for a while.
No, we'll be fine.
Remember that. I'll save that clip.
We've been on like a 7-week run where it's like there's always something popping up.
We'll do that tomorrow. We see you at 6. Gary, Matt, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.